Chattisfying.
Hello, Mother Funsters, and welcome to episode 6 of Chattisfying, a podcast all about streaming, made by streamers, for streamers, about streaming. It's amazing. I know. My name is Mellar, also known as Mellar21. Please welcome, as always, my co-host, the Hairy Hippo, when he's stopped laughing.
I can't help it, right? You have such a serious face. It's amazing. You're like, boom, here we go. Let's do this. Oh my God, I can't do the straight face. I really can't do it, man. You're so prophetic. I love you. I'm okay. Hi, I'm Hippo.
Hi, Hippo. And please give us a massive welcome to our guest today is BoneyC.
It's me. It's BoneyC. How are y'all doing?
It's me, BoneyC. I've come home.
And don't you dare compare me to Boney M, alright? I'm just gonna put that out for any of you. You're like, oh, did you get your name for Boney M? No.
But it's not bad. I like Boney M, though.
He doesn't sing, so I don't like him.
No,
Ooh,
he's crazy
wow.
like a
Boney.
fool.
Yeah, no, he
Hello?
lip-synced all of that.
But
He
he does dance like a really cool
He
dude that
does.
doesn't dance to the right music, though.
Rah, rah, Rasputin. I don't know the rest of the words. Yeah. Awesome.
I mean, that's pretty much, you got the gist.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, good times. Well, thank you so much for coming. Shall we go straight ahead? And we're going to start asking you questions, Boney. Are you ready for this?
Definitely.
Is your
Do you
soul
need me to
ready?
turn on a light on my face to make sure you really get the mood right, or
Looks
Should
I get the
kind of
candlelight
like
going?
you've already got a light on your face.
that's the sun?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I mean, still technically
over
correct. Okay.
It's not a thing over here. I think we get it 4 times a year. That's about it.
It's really hot in the UK, though, isn't it, Harry? Like, I'm
Well,
sweating.
Yeah. But bear in mind, I am as hairy as a Wookiee. It's not comfortable for me.
So Boney.
Yeah. Any other subjects? You know, like we can totally move from this.
Yeah, let's get away from the weather now, because we know how that affects me.
So Boney, tell us all about yourself, about your Twitch channel, your YouTube stuff. Just give us a rundown of everything BoneyC.
Right. That's gonna be pretty broad. I am definitely I'm a Friday streamer who loves doing a lot of different things. Been busy. Been doing it for, what is it? Almost 3 years, actually. Anniversary is coming up August. Yeah, August. So that should be good. 3 years of streaming, and it's been a lot of different things. Initially, started out just being bored at home. Had a long vacation. In fact, that was the Bruges trip, and I got back and I didn't really have anything to do, and I was like, you know what? Let's pick up streaming. I did do streaming like way back in the past, but I decided to get into it and decided, you know what? Let's give it a shot. And I started off doing Guacamelee 2 at that point. In fact, really, the game came out, didn't realize it was out because there was bad marketing, and I was like, let's play this. From that point on, I made it a goal for myself at that point to play the games that I had in my library that I just bought and never played. You know the deal, right? You go into that Steam Winter Sale, you see these amazing deals, 80% off. What? Obviously, I'm gonna buy that. That one's 70% off with all the DLC. So that's what I've done over the years, hoarding all these games and touching like none of them.
Yeah.
Because I just end up going back to the same game over and over and over again. So I made it a goal for myself to make sure to play these games and to play these games on stream. So that's what I've been doing most of the time. Like one of the things I've been trying to keep up, just playing through these different games. And because of that, I play a lot of different games. Whether it's a new release that came out or a game that I just had in my library for ages. Some of the games that I really enjoy playing are Graveyard Keeper, for example. Terraria was a fun one. World of Warcraft Classic was one where I just started off on launch. So that was good fun. But
Sorry.
I really did enjoy Classic, though, to be fair. But yeah, like as I went through it, I actually was able to play through the games that I had in my library. And while I'm not doing that as much these days anymore, it's definitely one of the things that has been the mainstay. And outside of that, speedrunning has been one of the big ones as well. So I tend to be a lot of different worlds. Speedrunning also, you know, the games that I really, really enjoyed. I I decided, you know what, I really want to get into the speedrunning stuff, and that's pretty much the channel in a nutshell. Play whatever I feel like, and play the games that I neglected for all these years.
So essentially, I mean, how big is your stream library? How many games do you have? Can I ask?
Like 600
Okay.
that I actually like registered the keys. I know I have more keys. I just simply haven't registered them in my library.
Oh,
And
wow.
then I probably have some in like the Ubisoft one, and I got some in like Good Old Games. And though not as many there, majority definitely is on Steam. And yeah, I'd say like I'm like 600 plus. I kind of stopped myself at some point from buying more games because
Yeah,
I knew,
I think you have to at some point, don't you?
yeah.
Because otherwise, I know a couple of people with stream libraries like 2,000, and
Oh yeah,
there's not enough hours in the universe.
when are you gonna play them?
You know, and one of those people has, you know, wife, kid. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. So basically, what you're trying to say to me is that you started streaming because you had too many games you wanted to, an excuse essentially to play them.
Basically, yeah. In some way, also like this type of accountability, I suppose, right? It's I'm sure you've played like some game, you got like to the halfway point and you forgot about it for some reason, because either some new game came out or some event in life or whatnot, and you just simply stop. You just stop playing it, and then later on you try to go back to it because you remember, oh right, I was playing this game. Totally forget where you were left off, and either you continue, you start off from the beginning because you have no clue what was going on or what the controls were, right? Or you just leave it there. And I, like, in my head had the idea of like, you know, like if I'm streaming and people are watching this and they're invested, that I can't just not play them at that point, right? At that point, it's not just me who's enjoying it. It's also viewers who are enjoying it. So because of that, I was like, you know, maybe that's good. I mean, I do play it somewhat loose with that. Like, if I really don't enjoy a game, then I'm not going to force myself to play it. But it does give that sense of like going through it together, right, and discovering it together. And some people don't really care too much about the game and they just want to hang out, and while others, you know, like they really care about this one game. And it's been interesting as well, as it has allowed me to meet a lot of different people because of the different games that I play. It's interesting, you know, like every single time I try to play a different game, I'm not really sure what's going to happen. Either people might not be interested, I might just, you know, like just regulars are coming in, or there might be, I don't know, some like speedrunning scene around it, or some like creation scene around it for mods or whatnot, and they just come in because they're like, oh, there's a new person who's playing our game, we need to go in, stuff like that. It's pretty interesting. And through that, just, I don't know, I kind of have gathered this group of people that all play different games, yet they all, you know, hang out at my stream.
That's fantastic. Amazing. I mean, that does kind of slide into my next question, which was really like, have you ever had a game that you've just really not enjoyed, so you have just been like, I'm not playing that anymore, we're moving on to another game?
I'd say like two, like for two like very different reasons. One would be Borderlands 2, simply due to how involved people want to be with it.
Oh my
Right?
god,
They
that's
really
literally
want
the
to
game I'm
join
playing
in.
at the
They
moment.
really want to be playing along.
Yeah.
And it, like, initially I was like, you know what, whatever, you know, like I'll just let like one person in, just see how it goes. And
Yeah.
they were like hacking weapons and whatnot because that's what they enjoy doing, and they gave me these weapons that are like super OP, and I'm like, well, I don't want to be doing this.
Yeah.
It's also very difficult because, you know, it comes from a place where people just want to help because they're like, oh, I can help this person out beat this game, and I'm like, this is not how I want to play this game.
Yeah.
At all. So that, you know, like kind of put a damper on it, but later on, just the way the game is structured and how it somewhat forces you to do side quests. You can't really follow the main quest and expect to beat the game because you will get your ass kicked.
Yeah, I've experienced that.
So that made it a bit less. But I'd say that. The other one would be Jackbox, and that's mainly due to harassment that came out of it. It's very easy for people
Trolls.
that, you know, like that like trolling. Oh yeah, no, I definitely like it. It's not fun when I am just busy moderating what people are writing in the game.
Yeah. It's understandable.
So that was really unfortunate because I really enjoyed Jackbox. I still enjoy like playing it with like friends or whatnot, just not on stream.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough. Have you ever had a game then that you've really enjoyed, but your community's just been like, nah?
I I suppose, I mean, many. I find the randomizers to be somewhat of a tricky one. And specifically, like RPGs is one of those things that don't really seem to connect too much.
Hmm.
So, like Witcher 3, people didn't really connect to it. Um, but like Final Fantasy 4 randomizer is one that I really enjoy a lot. Um, there's like tournaments around this one. I watch those and whatnot. But I'm not sure if it's due to people being unfamiliar with the game itself and the randomizer expecting you to have this knowledge of
Hmm.
the game. It's I don't know. It's one of those where I always find that like people don't really know what to do with it. They don't really know what to expect with it, even though I really want to play it. They're just like,
Yeah. One thing
it's not really connecting.
One thing I've kind of observed about randomizers, because I do Ocarina randomizers quite a lot, is they've got their own kind of community and they very much stick together.
Yeah.
But I think a reason for that is from the outside perspective, someone doing a randomizer, half of the time nobody has any idea what the hell is going on. And it's actually quite
Definitely.
difficult to explain it as well. Like if you're playing a game normally and someone doesn't know what's going on, you can kind of explain what's going on. You can explain, the mechanics of the game, what's happened so far in the story. You can't, like, actually trying to explain a randomizer to someone who's completely new is even someone who knows the game. It's completely an exercise in futility. So you either know what's going on or you kind of don't. And generally,
Yeah.
if people don't know what's going on, they're probably going to dip most of the time. And then, but then you get the people that do, and they stick together and all that kind of thing. I think that's probably, yeah. So I think with randomizers, a lot of thing that a lot of people do, I found, especially with Ocarina randomizers, is that will be their thing, and that will be the thing that they do, and then they'll get a community surrounding that kind of thing. But from the outside, if you're doing what you do and what we do, which is, variety streaming, if you then try a randomizer, everyone that would normally show up to your stream is like, what the hell is going on? And it becomes
it
very
just
difficult.
doesn't jive at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's unfortunate, definitely. As you say, it's that recognizing what is going on. Like there's always those few that don't really care, right? They don't care about what's going on screen. They just want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's still that group that just no clue what to do with this. I'm just gonna go and check out something else. So it's unfortunate, right? And definitely, as you say, I think if that was the only thing I was doing, totally fine. It's there are definitely some people that stream randomizers, and they're massive and they're doing great. But that's because that's what they do. That is what they're known for, and they just have that community.
Absolutely. Yeah, go on, Harry.
Yes, you in the back.
So, as a person who doesn't really do speedrunning, I have the stupid noob question of what constitutes a randomizer. What do you do? Is it mob changes? Is it like certain things are missing? Or
it's a good question.
You can go pretty wide.
I don't do speedrun,
no.
so I ain't got a clue. You guys can say randomizer, and I'd be like, okay, so what? They got pink hair now. Okay, cool.
A speedrun normally is just playing the normal game, but quickly, right?
Yeah, like
correct me if I'm wrong here,
speedruns, for example.
But with a randomizer, like items are actually in random places, and therefore you have to sequence break the game as well in order to complete it. And you don't have to do you can do them both at the same time. You can speed run a randomizer, or you can just play a randomizer at your own pace, can't you?
Basically,
so it's literally just like items in the game are in different locations to what they would normally be. It's not like mob stats have changed or anything like that. Then.
I mean, it's in general, yeah, that's the base. I do know Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, for example. That's one that I play as well. It's pretty broad. Like you can change the way your sprite looks. You can change the way where enemies are placed, the way rooms are linked to one another. You can go insanely far in terms of random, how random things are. But in general, it is the item part.
Okay.
But I also know in like Pokemon randomizers, they can have random stats if you choose them to do so as well. Random typings and that. So you could have, I don't know, a Bulbasaur that knows only fire moves and is weak to water, for example.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Fair play.
Yeah. So you can basically randomize anything, as far as I know, as long as it works for the person playing the game.
Basically, yeah. I do feel whenever a game is randomized, it usually comes from people who really enjoy speedrunning this game, but want to, play it from a different angle. Like definitely the Zelda series is one of those that just lends itself very well to it,
Yeah.
due to the fact that the world in and of itself is pretty open, but there are usually things that gate it, right? You need a hammer to get past this one part, or you need a hook shot to get past this other part. But they're not in static locations. It's not you go from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 and you just need this power up every single time. It's just in the world. And it makes that, oh, now I have a hook shot and this item, and now that means I can already get here because I have the items that are required for it. The enemies may be more difficult and whatnot, right? And it allows for this extra challenge to people who are used to playing this game and use this knowledge in, you know, like unconventional ways. You might even figure out like, oh, I never realized this worked. Right? There's one silly thing in Link to the Past. There's like the best sword in the game. Actually does 1 damage to a certain boss because it's like a way earlier boss, and you're not supposed to get that sword after like the 6th dungeon normally. So it's like a weird interaction that, you know, people realize, oh, okay, I should take into account. Apparently, this is some thing going on. It's pretty interesting, especially when old games have these weird bugs.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think you hit on something there as well. I mean, we'll talk a lot more about speedrunning a little bit later, but the thing with speedrunning a game is it's incredibly repetitive because you're playing the same game again and again and again. And especially when you're getting very good at it, you're not just playing the same game, but you're playing it exactly the same way every single time. And it does become incredibly repetitive. So I can completely understand why speedrunners would want to mix it up basically with things like randomizers. And they're brilliant. They really breathe life into games that, even though they're amazing, do get repetitive because you keep playing them again and again. Even if you're not speedrunning, like before, I'd never speedrun Legend of Ocarina of Time, but I'd still played it like 50 times, before I even heard of what a randomizer was. So it really breathes a lot of life into a game, doesn't it? But like we were saying earlier, the audience needs to know what the hell is going on.
Yeah. You don't know the base game, don't even bother. Like, you're just gonna get super confused.
Exactly. So flipping that on its head then, have you ever had a game that you've not really enjoyed but your community have absolutely loved, and maybe they keep asking you to go back to it and you're just like, nah, I don't think I will?
Not in particular, no. Usually it's I suppose in the speedrunning realm of things, right? Where you know, as I am playing this game over and over and over again, at some point I'm gonna lose interest. At some point it's just not really that you know, that fun anymore. And it's more in that where I'm like, okay, I'm like really done with this game, but people really want to watch this game because you always, you know, you have these fans of the speedruns and they just love watching speedruns. So mostly due to that, but in general, I don't find people clamor for, you know, games returning in that sense. I do get suggestions, right, for games to play, but not per se like, oh, you played this game, you have to replay this game over and over and over again. It's like the feedback that I have gotten from the people that I've, you know, like that I've talked to, just like when they're like, oh, what is it that you like? Is, you know, like knowing that they could tune in and it could be some game they've never heard of, and I mean they might enjoy it, they might not, but they like the idea of it being a game they've never heard of.
Yeah.
So I find myself looking for games as well to, you know, like scratch that itch because I want to do that as well.
Amazing. So right at the beginning, you did mention the name's BoneyC, not BoneyM. Where does your name come from?
It's pretty old at this point. It's back in the day. I remember
Back in the day.
It was 1996 or something like that. I don't quite remember the year. I was like 7. I want to say like 7 years old, maybe 8.
Yeah.
And I, you know, at the time I was on vacation at my aunt's place, and like a couple of my nephews were there as well, and we were just, you know, just hanging out, playing, you know, like playing outside, watching shows and whatnot. And at some point we were, I don't know, watching, what was it again? It was like the show with the like Beetle transforming, not Beetlejuice, but like Beetle transforming, was like 3 of them. It was in the age where like Power Rangers was like a an amazing thing.
Something like Animorphs or something like that.
Something along those lines, but there were like 3 of them in this case, and they just, I think it was something with Beetle. I don't quite remember it. But there was one of the, like, they all had nicknames, and that's what stuck. And we were like, wow, that's amazing. We really need to give each other nicknames. And so Beetleborgs, thank you. That's the one. And so we just, we spent this summer, just coming up with different nicknames, and, like, oh, we'll try this, and then maybe that'll fade out a couple days later, and we'll try this. And the one that really stuck, for me at least, was Boney. And so that was kind of the name that I adopted, and I kept, like, at some point, I moved to the hometown I live in right now. Initially, I was born in The Hague and lived there, and then moved to where I live now. I can tell you the style name, but you wouldn't know where it is, so I'm not even gonna.
That's right.
But like, I actually got there, and like, my one of my friends that I already knew lived there already, and he apparently already introduced people. Like, Me Too people as Boney. Like, I actually, like, just got there and like, hey, are you Boney? I'm like, what the? I'm like 11 at that point, but it just stuck, right? It's one of those things that just kept on sticking, and the C part came in like way, like, kind of later when I got into MMOs, and I needed to put in the last name for MMO. I don't even remember which one, like something with Ruby.
Yeah,
I had to put in the last name. I was like, got to do something. So I came up with Crystal. That was the one I had. I was like, you know what? Crystal, Boney Crystal sounds great.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And later I just got rid of the Crystal part and just kept the C, because everyone takes the name Boney.
Wow, yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. So no, it's been one of those, just kind of stuck with me. I'm so used to people just either calling me Boney or, my real name, though. Plenty of people in real life just call me Boney as well. It's just one of those things. It's like in work, right? People will call me by my actual name, which is Ryan. But yeah.
Oh, good times. It's nice, isn't it, when you meet people in real life and they call you by your online name? It's kind of nice, isn't it? I did when I went to China. So my wife introduced me to her friends as Mellar. I was like, yeah, that works for me. Very nice, awesome. So tell us a little bit about, like, sort of what's coming up in the near future on your YouTube channel. Give us a scoop.
Yeah. So lately I've been busy with, well, commentary, really. I suppose that's been the main thing. I haven't been as active as I would like to, due to, like, just real life getting in the way, busy with quitting my job and whatnot. So I got to focus a bit more on that than I can on the streaming side. But when I am busy with streaming, it's been mostly Trackmania these days, and doing commentary on tournaments. So I initially did the Finnish Trackmania League, which is on my YouTube and whatnot, and just having about 17 Finnish players, and just trying to figure out who was the best. There was no prize or whatnot, just some Finnish players who really enjoy playing Trackmania, and some of them are just, like, they're great players, while others are just in it because they just want to be involved. But it's been one of those things that I just had in the back of my head, like, oh yeah, doing commentary seems fun. Like, maybe like Tetris, or doing like one of these speedrunning tournaments. Just something that I was like, oh yeah, this seems like fun. And it was just true. One of my viewers, Knight, who was like, hey, I'm setting this up, right? So do you want to do some commentary? So I did. And I really enjoyed it. And I got into contact with some other people who are like, hey, I'm setting up a tournament. Do you want to commentate? I'm like, sure.
Nice.
And so true that I kind of, like, I'm in the commentary loop. And now there is another tournament happening starting tomorrow. And I'll be doing commentary for that as well.
Fantastic.
So that's good stuff.
Do you think you might do casting or commentary for any other games in the near future? Or is it just Trackmania at the moment?
If I could, yeah. Like, the games that I would love to commentate would be, like, well, Tetris is one. Probably classic Tetris, as modern Tetris I'm not, like, that familiar with in terms of the knowledge side. And StarCraft 2. And that's mainly because StarCraft 2 is, like, Yeah, I pretty much played that since it released, and I've been watching the esports scene ever since that, like was going on. And I do take a lot from those commentators as well in my commentary, because I've just seen so much of it. And like, there's a couple that are, they're my favorites. So obviously I'm going to draw from them to
Absolutely.
try and somewhat emulate what they do and try to see what they do right and try to bring that in my.
Yeah, StarCraft 2, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen you stream that, have you?
Yeah, I actually did stream it like once or twice, but there are two reasons why I just didn't. One, I just can't read chat because
Right.
it's way too involved.
Right.
And I just was super duper rusty, and I was like, do I really want to learn everything about the game again and get the muscle memory back again and whatnot? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. It's like something I was like really chasing like 2010, and I was
I
like
see.
really trying to get into tournaments and really trying to get better and whatnot. But I never really got that far. I did get into some tournaments, but I got knocked out like round 1, round 2, stuff like that.
Interesting. That's actually very interesting. I don't think I've ever seen anyone stream StarCraft 2. But the one thing I always say about Overwatch, I've said it so many times, is although it's a good game, I don't think it's a great game to stream because you can't interact with chat while you're playing it. And I've tried so many times, because I've never played it, but I've tried so many times to interact with people that I know are interactable with interact with chat, but when they're playing Overwatch, they just don't. And I'm guessing then that StarCraft 2 must be similar kind of gig. And if you can't interact with chat, and how long's a game? Like, what, 15, 20 minutes? That's going to be a nightmare
Something like
to stream,
that.
isn't it?
Yeah, like it's definitely and it just takes up so much concentration as well. Yeah, I can't, like, at the start it might be a bit slow and you're able to chat for a little bit because you're just building up your economy, but once things get rolling, yeah, there's no way you can focus on chat. You might be able to glance like a word or two,
Yeah.
but that's it.
Yeah, that's probably why I always sucked at those kind of games, because I've always found time to be able to do that kind of thing, but that's probably why I'm rubbish at it. Oh, good times.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard though. Like I still I still watch, right, and I still understand what's going on and whatnot, but to actually play again, man,
Yeah.
I'll just watch. It's fine. You want to do 300 actions per minute? Be my guest. No more.
No, that's understandable. You do get that sometimes. That's one of the things I had with Dota too. I got quite into that at one point. I'm not anymore, but I did get quite into it. But the games just last too freaking long.
Oh yeah.
Like, you're looking at, like, if you're really lucky, like a really quick game is like 25 minutes, but quite often they last
probably, yeah,
on average about 40 to 45 minutes, but you can easily get into a game that lasts like an hour and a half. You cannot leave. You cannot leave a game.
Nope.
You get really harshly penalized, and rightly so, for leaving a game early. So you have to make sure that you've got that time handy before you start playing. It doesn't work for anyone that's got like any responsibilities at all. So I ended up watching the pro stuff on Twitch and YouTube in the end. But I kind of got a bit bored in the end. I mean, you do, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? At some point, the jig is up. I feel like there's at least for me, as I've been getting older, I find like a game can't really hold my interest as much anymore as it did when I was younger, where I could just keep going and going and going. I might be like really into a game when it just comes out. Like Valheim was one where I was just like, oh yeah, let's keep playing and playing and playing. And I'm like, oh, it's already been like 8 hours of playing. Oh, I just built a house. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You just don't realize, right? But that
Absolutely.
fades pretty fast for me these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, retention is difficult as you get older.
Yeah,
It really
definitely.
is.
Well, I found with like esports in general, like especially when I was experiencing Dota 2, watching the professionals do it, is like you'd get used to watching a certain meta, and you'd start getting the hang of like who is in what team and how certain teams work, and you'd start to understand the whole sort of the whole sort of ecosystem, as it were. But then the big tournament would end, and everything would change. Everything, like not just the meta of the game, but like all of the players would all switch which team they were in.
It's like transfer season, yeah.
Yeah. And my mate would keep up with it, but it'd tell me, it'd be like, oh, this person's in this team now, and I just end up getting completely confused and be like, I started trying to just follow one team, and I couldn't even manage that in the end. I was just like, you know what, forget it. It's too much for my aging brain to handle.
Just watch StarCraft 2. They just play solo all the time. You don't even need to worry.
You don't need to worry about teams.
Just this one player. Sweet. Dobie, like if it is a Korean player, there is a chance that they have to go for mandatory military training. So
yeah,
you're really a fan of this one Korean player, be prepared to not be able to cheer for like a couple years.
Yeah, it's like 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Koreans aren't the only country that still do that. I vaguely remember there's
still some. Yeah.
There's a couple of European countries I think that still do that, because I remember hearing about someone who got drafted. Yeah, it's mad, really, when you think about it.
I mean, technically, the draft is still a thing here in the Netherlands. It's just, like on pause.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. Like if they would, like if there's like any need for it, they could reinstate it. But yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit. You sort of alluded to it very, very lightly earlier, but today's kind of a special day, in a way, isn't it? Because you finished your job. You've been there for 9 years, right?
Yeah.
Today was literally your last day, and you came home essentially and did this. So talk a little bit about what does that feel like? Because I've never been in a job that long. How does it feel like to be in a job that long and then leave? Like, what have you got another job lined up, or?
I mean, I suppose to start at the start. Yeah, it's been like 9 years, nine and a half years, something like that. And yeah, it's definitely odd. And it's been my first real employer, right? Before that, I had to deliver papers and pick tomatoes and whatnot, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
As you're growing up. But this was like my first job going out, like getting out of college. And initially just getting into it, it was supposed to be a temp job for like 2 to 3 months. And, I just kind of stuck because it was working out and there was plenty of work to be done and whatnot. But I don't know, like at some point you just it's like the new normal. You get into it, you interact with these people. And initially the first couple of years, department I was in, I wasn't necessarily that that much into it, and I was trying to find somewhere else to work. But eventually got into a different department and just had some just great colleagues, great people to work with, and we kind of had a shit year, but in terms of like what was going on with the company, and everyone rallied. Everyone just went. Everyone worked at it. Nobody was like, oh, what, never mind, I'm just done with it, and everybody just walks out. No, like everybody was trying to help each other out and really working with each other. And I feel like at that point, it was like, we're doing this. It's us right here, and we're gonna make this happen. And it's like the somewhat camaraderie of sorts. It's really what made me stick around as much, just building this thing together. And that's basically what I've done most of the time there. Like I spent like 6 years on that, because it's like there's like different brands and we were all a small department on one brand. So it's like it's a small company and everybody knows each other and everybody has their own responsibilities, but you're helping out each other and whatnot. And yeah, it's just like you're just building up this thing, even though it's part of a bigger company and whatnot. It's still you are seeing what you've put into it, and I really, really enjoyed all that, and it really made me stick. And through changes that have been going on, that's been fading and going away, and I for myself was like, what, I think I've been able to do what I really wanted to do here, and decided, what, I think it's time to go. I think it's time to really go and try something new and find something new. So it's very odd to now just say, what, I am actually done. Like I closed my laptop, shut it down, and I was like, I'm gonna put this on my desk for no, I'm not. I put it away. I just it's not on my desk anymore. It's just not there. I have no reason to put it back there anymore. It's somewhat weird. It hasn't landed because I'm not at the office. I'm not seeing all these people. I'm not constantly talking to people like, yeah, I'm leaving, right? And all that, because it's all digital. So in that sense, it hasn't really clicked, right? I know, but I don't know. No.
Yeah.
So it's definitely weird. Just like as I'm starting to slowly realize over time, like, yeah, no, I'm actually done. I'm actually done. And who knows, maybe in the future I'll go back, but I really, I will really want to try something new, really want to see something new, meet some new people and whatnot. It's weird, right? It's a decade of my life to
Yeah.
some degree.
That's a hell of a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
it's gonna be very, very weird.
do you have something else lined up, or are you just going to be
Not
looking?
at the moment, no. Like it's been one of the things that I've been doing this past year is really trying to figure out what it is I really want to do. What drives me? What makes me wake up in the morning? Um, so I really tried to discover that last year and really tried to like dig into like the core of it, um, which for me is like just solving technical issues. If I can make sure I can solve these technical issues and make things easier for someone, I'm happy. I'm good. I'm golden. And I just try to manifest that into some skill set, right? Something that allows me to actually provide that. And while I already have, like a skill set built up through, just my job and whatnot, which most of it is like um, managing our website and building pages and whatnot, but also taking care of specific data for products and such that you have to be pretty precise. You can't just mess up making something 10 euros instead of 100 euros because you accidentally messed up the dot. You don't want to deal with that. You don't want to deal with that, especially when it costs people money. Oh no. So it's like, like I just, I've built that, but I was like, let's make this really something that I can work towards and aim towards. So it was true. A fellow speedrunner, he hasn't been streaming as much anymore due to internet stuff, but he was like, hey, go try out like Salesforce. That is the one specific thing that I've been working on this past almost a year.
Hmm.
Because of his suggestion, he's been doing that, for quite some time. He was like, you can really, make this happen through that. So I'm really just, like I've been at it now 10 months, I want to say, got like a couple certificates as well, and just really trying to hope like just convincing someone to be like, just take me in. I know I haven't done shit with the program, but I've done a ton of other stuff and I've been getting these things. So, like, please hire me, I suppose. That's pretty much what I've been working on. And I have had some great like conversations and interviews and whatnot, just not quite there yet.
Okay. Have you, for example, considered full-time streaming?
Interesting mentioning this. You like that? No. Definitely due to, like having some time off. I have in the past, like one of the things I've done last year, June, I was like, I'm streaming every single day, period. Like I was like giving away codes as well. Cause again, I'm very good at buying games and never playing them. And I had a ton of codes. So that's what I did like through the entire month of June last year, and just streaming every day, playing games, setting up the schedules and whatnot, right? And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, though it's very involved to do while working, right? Because I'm just like, I'm at work, working 9 hours, depends on what's going on. Get a bite to eat, maybe take care of some stuff in the house, then into streaming I go. At the time I was also trying to like get some YouTube videos done. No way. Like there's just not enough time in the day to do any of that. But now that I have about, technically I have 7 weeks that I'm still, like within my contract, but I have time off because I just have that much time off. And then after that, I have an even longer vacation, I suppose, in some ways, right? It depends on how you're thinking about it. But yeah, like I do want to like try it, try dabbling in it again. I found that over the years, I initially started like, oh, I really want to grow, get more viewers and whatnot, and really get into the grind, as people like to call it. Whereas these days, I'm more like, no, I'm happy with what I'm doing, where I'm getting. I enjoy all the people who are coming in, and I'm not necessarily as focused anymore on the numbers. Like obviously I it would suck if I've been streaming for like 3 hours and there's like one person. I'm like, oh man, I do want to provide some value. It's simply someone, one of those things where I'm like, I just viewer counts hidden, and like after stream, I might be like, maybe see who was watching, and and that's pretty much it. But I'm very curious now that I have all this time off to see, like try my hand at like afternoon streaming. I always had to stream at night because of work, but I'm very curious, like, what happens if I stream it during the afternoon? It's more convenient for me, right? Just allow that to be a placeholder of the schedule and the routine that I normally have.
Yeah.
But yeah, like one of the things I really need to figure out as well is like, what exactly do I want to stream as well?
Yeah.
Though there are some games that I've been looking at are like, ooh, that might be a good one. Phantom Abyss, I believe, is one that is coming up. It looks very good.
Wicked. All right. Well, I did want to go a little bit into, because obviously the topic today is all about speed running.
Yeah.
But obviously that will be more about the merits and demerits of it and all this kind of thing. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit in this segment about sort of your speed run, the fact that you do a fair amount of it. I've definitely seen you speed run Spyro. And also, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you got the world record on Super Cable Boy, didn't you?
I have, but at the moment I'm second. Somebody did beat me.
Someone beat you, but you did actually get the world record live on ESL, didn't you? Which is that right? That was amazing.
No, kind of. Like don't tell them that a new patch came out and that caused timings to be like super duper favorable. But no, definitely I did do that technically.
That's a cool thing, man.
But no, it's I still have like one world record, but I mean nobody really plays the game anymore, so I'm like, nice, got that one. No one is gonna beat me on that unless for some reason people decide to go back to it. But
yeah. So what games do you speed run, or have you speed run?
So far, I initially, like when I got into speedrunning, was like the whole HGQ stuff, and I started playing Maui Mallard in Cold Shadow. That was one of my childhood games, and I was like, nobody's really playing this. I'm like, I gotta speedrun this. So I played that for a bit. That's like one of the first VODs that is on my channel still. So that's pretty funny. I never submitted the record, right, that I have, but still there. But no, in terms of like really actively like speedrunning them and also posting them, I've done Guacamelee and Guacamelee 2, which are Metroidvania with a beat 'em up style, because you're playing a luchador, so you're punching, you're grappling them, right, ball driving them and whatnot, with a bunch of platforming just mixed into it. Spyro, as you mentioned, played that a bunch. I was actually, like also able to showcase that one at the European Speedrunners Assembly. So that was really good. Yeah. The randomizers, right? Although randomizers, you can't really post them. Final Fantasy IV and A Link to the Past. Those are two that I really, really enjoyed. And I have tried like my hands at like some other games, but I would say like the other game would be, and the most recent, Super Cable Boy.
Yeah.
It's one of those games that I came across during one of the Steam indie festivals. And I was like, like this seems like a pretty fun game. And, like maybe this will be fun to speedrun. I really fell in love with the game.
It's got a great soundtrack, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely love it. I'm still like really just hoping Sorb, the developer of the game, is going to be able to release the soundtrack. He's been running into some issues, I know, but I really hope he's going to release that, because it's just such a nice soundtrack. But the game in its whole, I just really, really adore some of the sound effects and whatnot, and it's a fun community as well. I do want to get back into it and try to reclaim my record, but I might do over these next couple of weeks. Just haven't really had the time to get into it with all the Trackmania stuff and work stuff happening.
No, fair enough. That's cool. So obviously YouTube. We've mentioned again. You very briefly alluded to this, and it's one of the three socials that are that's coming up on the timers, and that will be available in the description below on YouTube. What kind of stuff do you normally put up on YouTube?
So mainly I put up the speedrun records that I have achieved. Just upload those on the YouTubes. Which I gotta make sure. Like if I get a new record, I gotta edit the old one.
On the
whatnot.
YouTubes. Okay, Boomer.
Also, the whenever I'm able to just put up the cast that I have been able to do from the tournaments. So the FTL specifically, I've been able to upload all of them. And hopefully in the future, I'll be able to do that for other tournaments as well. I've also done a couple of first look videos where I just bought a game, like that seemed interesting to me, that came out recently, and play it for like 30, 45 minutes, really get a first impression of what is going on, what the game is about, and whether or not it's, it's any fun. And it's not like I give any ratings or whatnot. It's, just generally looking at, okay, these are the mechanics. Oh, this is working in this way. Oh, this could be interesting. Because at the end of the day, with about like half an hour, you're not going to get everything. You're not getting the full full gist. You might not know, like maybe there's some type of rotation within its gameplay core that might get boring after like a few tries, but it could be amazing. You just keep playing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that is a bit of an extension of playing through these games. People tend to look at the games that I play and like, oh, this is fun. I'm gonna try it out myself. And I feel like the first look videos lend to that as well, and allow people to hopefully feel the same way. And at the same time, I'm like, it's one of those videos that I try to make in a way like, oh, you could watch this and fall asleep to it. Just,
Nice.
Just chill, relax, take it easy.
Fantastic. Well, I really got to say, like, I really appreciate and I admire the way that because it's a bit of a buzzword, isn't it? A variety streamer. And a lot of people use it. I mean, even I say it, but I don't think I've got the greatest variety in the world. I think a lot of people don't. But when you really do have a lot of variety when it comes to, because it's not just different games that you play, and you will also play games that like a lot of people have never heard of. It's also obviously the fact that you might play a game blind, or start speedrunning, or you just start casting something like all this kind of thing. It seems really random, but also the fact that you seem to be really good at everything as well, which is immensely annoying for someone like me. But also I really look up to it. So seriously, like I would say, if you want to watch someone who's actually like a good streamer in that they talk to chat and they have things available for chat, but it's actually pretty damn good at the game, follow BoneyC. Amazing. Hippo, do you have any questions before we move on to segment 2?
No. I've to be fair, I've gone into one of those modes where I'm just quite fascinated and just want to listen all day long and not fall asleep, by the way. Okay, just throwing it out there. I mean, I wouldn't mind falling asleep to it at some point, but I'll watch the YouTubes for that. It's fine.
Exactly. Take it easy, relax, breathe in. I just make sure,
because you've got such a passion for the speedrunning thing. It's nice to see someone talk positively about it and enthusiastic about it. It's again, from my perspective, I don't really do speedruns. My idea of speedrunning is making sure I have a poo really quickly. That's my speedrunning tactic. You know what I mean? If I can get done within a minute without having to get my TikTok out, I'm happy. You know what I mean? That's my situation with speedrunning. So I've never really done speedrunning games, and it's just. And like I said, I think I said it before we started live that I've watched like the Minecraft ones on the odd occasion, stuff like that, because I go through the circulation, comes on the feed and go, oh, I love look at that, and I'm thinking, how the hell do you even do that? And I remember one of my first times seeing your stream, because I tend to lurk in people's streams when they're like potentially coming up, or Mellar mentions them and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, okay, go have a look at them now. And then I kind of fell in love, and you were playing Spyro, and I was like, I remember Spyro when I was younger. I didn't do anything like this. What's good? I think I just killed some sheep and burnt them alive, and I thought I completed the game, and I probably hadn't even left the zone to start off in. It was that kind of. But you're like, oh, they're doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of your power with Spyro. Okay, but no, I just generally love. I love people with their enthusiasm for something they really enjoy. It's really refreshing, especially in an industry that a lot of people get drained from. It's nice to see that you still it rejuvenates you and keeps you going. It's nice to see. It really is.
Enthusiasm is really catching as well, isn't it?
Plus, you have a lovely smile. I love your smile. It's adorable.
Thank you. Woo! All right. I mean, like lights are already going off here. I already got the counter lights going. This is already.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to get the clapper going, see if it works, but it's okay.
This is my trick to make sure my afro looks extra fluffy, right? Just make the room dark. And people are like, "How big is your afro?" I'm like,
to be honest,
Yeah,
in
it's
this light, the afro kind of looks like the void. It's just disappearing into the background. Excellent. Oh, I love it. Well, shall we move on then to section 2? So section 2 is the debate, really, where we each give our thoughts and opinions on a topic, and then we'll start sort of counterpointing potentially. Chat can sort of drop their own thoughts in as well. If we see anything particularly thought-provoking, we'll mention it. They are normally quite broad topics. The topic today is speedrunning, as we've got someone who speedruns and is good at it. So we'll let you go first, if we can, Boney. So, speedrunning. Go.
Yes.
Talk to us about...
in terms of speedrunning, we can go pretty broad, as you say. It could be the exposure it's had over the years, right? We've had all these marathons going on, raising money for charity and whatnot. It's been one of those things that really brought into it. But there's also, in terms of, I suppose, a bit more deeper into speedrunning, like what is speedrunning, what constitutes a speedrun, when you're actually able to speedrun a game, what are you allowed to do in speedruns, right? But at the same time, we've also been seeing cheating in speedrunning, right? Like one of the big ones was Dream coming up on the Minecraft stuff, and people like, oh wait, they've been like cheating, what, and causing all this like a ruckus going on. It's I don't know, it's one of those things pretty broad. It's also been one of places where the Me Too movement really, like it really shown there were quite some people actually that like turned out to be doing some like definitely unsavory stuff at these events that are going on, right? These physical events. We can go pretty broad. If there is one thing, I suppose I don't know if we could talk about it. It's like the situation of speedrunning being online all the time, right? It used to be one of those things where we had these events, right? Whether it's a ESA, AGDQ, or UKSG is another example. And these are all, they're all speedrunning events, and you're able to go physically, you're able to see each other, you're able to hang out. These are these moments in time where these people you normally only see online, only speak to online, you only like share strats with, or you see their stream doing this world record and whatnot, you finally get to see each other. It's just completely gone now, right? Because you can't. You just can't. It's I don't know. It's one of those tough things. I'm not sure if I want to go somewhere with that though. That's the issue. Because like if you were to be invited to one of these events, right, to actually be able to watch these live, like what would you think? What would be your go-to? Like you go in as a reporter one day, try to figure out what's going on at the speedrunning event.
I don't know. I mean, it's slightly marred by the fact that I kind of already know partially what it's about.
Right.
But I have no idea. Like, I think it's great that there's a community. It's always great that there's a community around something people can get really enthusiastic about. Because I remember, obviously, you went to ESL a couple of years ago before, before all this happened.
Right. Yeah.
Back when we were actually allowed to meet people.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it was interesting. Like you got to, like you say, you got to meet people that you'd normally only see online. It's quite similar to the kind of the Twitch meetups in many ways.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a bit more specific than that, in that like a Twitch meetup is just people that stream, whereas speedrunning is a bit more of a limited kind of remit. Although even then, there's still a huge amount, because you could speedrun almost any game.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. It's whenever it's like finding an end, right? What is the end? When do you define something as done? which is it depends on the game. It totally depends on the game.
Mm.
That's why you have all these different rulings and whatnot, right? In terms of cheating and when are you allowed to do a glitch, right? If you're
Yeah.
glitching is one of those things that always is a gray area, because one gaming community might be like, oh yeah, I use all the glitches in the world and make sure to break the game as much as you can to make sure you squeeze out that 1 millisecond. Whereas the other are like, yeah, don't even think about it. What are you doing? This is not how we do things around here.
Disqualified.
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting one. I do feel maybe that would be interesting. In terms of speedrunning, I always find there's 2 camps. Whenever it comes to like this interest into it in terms of types of speedruns, it's either speedruns that are completely played as the developer intended or totally broken.
Yeah.
Totally, just totally broken.
Yeah.
And I've always like found it in terms of my speedrunning, right, to try to stray away from like really breaking a game. At some point, I personally feel that when you're speedrunning a game, you're playing that game, right? You're playing that because you want to play that game. If, for example, Ocarina of Time has been broken to no end, where people can basically write code to some extent, right? Like actually force the game to do certain things because you know how to interact with certain objects and do the specific backflip and whatnot. And now you go through the door and here you are in Ganon's Tower.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
At some point, I feel like it loses the spirit of playing a game and just simply chasing records.
Yeah.
I found that always to be one of those things that I tend to discuss with people where they're like, I just don't want to watch speedruns because they're always doing these crazy things and glitching stuff out and not playing it in the way that I like to play it. So I don't think it's, like legit. But it's one of those, it's a gray area stuff. Some are very obvious, right? The cheating, if you're just putting in mods that make things super easy for you, then not good. But
I definitely
it's
remember
like
hearing...
how far can you go in breaking a game?
No, exactly. I definitely remember hearing about you talking about cheating. I remember hearing about someone. I can't remember what they were called or even what game they were playing, but they speedrun on YouTube.
Right.
And they actually had done this thing where they'd sped up the footage by a really small amount, so it was enough that nobody noticed, but it still obviously made the time significantly better because it was quite a long game.
Yeah.
And they didn't get found out for the longest time until someone was like, "Hold on a second." And like someone I would assume that probably knows the game really well. I was like, "That's not quite right." I don't know. It's quite interesting, isn't it? When you can kind of, especially because it's almost entirely, like you say, especially now during COVID, it's entirely online.
Yeah.
So it kind of opens things up for that, because you could not do that even on Twitch, but you could not do that. So it's definitely like face to face. If you were actually there with someone,
no.
It'd be completely impossible. So it is kind of interesting where it's kind of like, it's sort of a regulated thing, but it's also kind of not.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It really depends on how popular a game is. Like Minecraft, it's simply one of the biggest speedrunning games at this point in time, and they ask a lot, especially after like again the Dream stuff came out. Initially, it was simply like giving your log file, I believe, in your save file, so they could check like when you actually created it, that it is actually a random seed and you didn't just practice it beforehand, right? And just get all this information, and they exactly know like, oh, this is loading in, and we see this little thing happening. Ooh, that doesn't really make sense. That's not supposed to happen. They're really dialed in, and it went even further with the Dream stuff, because they're like, just send us like your file and whatnot, like your folder, and we really want to dive into it. But with other games that may not be as popular, just like, just submit it, give us video, and it's good, cool. And people would never realize that there might be cheating going on. It's very dependent on popularity, and it's, I suppose, a nice thing that it's not like there's some governing body that's telling everyone, oh, but this is how you're supposed to play games and this is how you're not supposed to play games. A good example of where that was the case was Twin Galaxies, and that kind of with the Pac-Man records and Donkey Kong records and whatnot. and now it turns out that like a couple of them were actually cheating all along, and they were just using, at least allegedly. I don't want to get sued because they've been suing everyone.
Yes, they have. Yeah, I know.
They
You're on
have.
about. Yeah.
They allegedly have been using this as a way to simply, like gain this popularity, portray themselves as the best gamer in the world, at least like one of them specifically, and then like the squad around them, and like verification was done by their friends all the time, whereas other players had to do all these extra things, loopholes, and like, no, you need to do this, you need to do it on this board, you need to, whereas other people are like, oh, you just have a videotape that is super grainy, no problem, you're in. Very, like ever since I believe Jace Hall, he overtook Twin Galaxies, and Twin Galaxies were very much on like no glitching whatsoever, and that used to be also the hub for like speedrunning records. That is not the case anymore, and because people, they were like, we know how to go faster, but we are not allowed to go faster because this governing body is telling us we can't do this.
Yeah.
In terms of where speedrunning is now, like 2021, and not having this organization overlooking you, and simply the community saying like, hey, we like this, we don't like this, or we should have a separate category for this because it's simply too fast. I don't know, it makes it a lot easier, but perhaps it's a lot easier as well for cheaters to simply, get in and put their records in just to have a bit of clout.
Indeed. So, what got you into speedrunning? Was it a wish to continually play a game and just optimize basically your playthrough, or was it something else?
I mean, initially, like, it was watching an AGDQ that like gave me like I suppose planted the seed of me wanting to like, oh, this seems like something I could, chasing down these records, and like replaying a game over and over again in and of itself doesn't sound exactly like the most appealing thing ever, but I don't know, I just really enjoyed the idea behind like really mastering a game and really understanding it, especially at that time. Like, still StarCraft 2 was very much on my head, so the idea of just like being the fastest, I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. So that kind of drew me in, and it's been like my outlet in terms of being competitive. Like, as you said earlier, right, Dota 2, and I played CSGO as well, and I found like games took too long and the investment and whatnot, and not so much with speedrunning. And with speedrunning, I like I'm able to fulfill that competitive itch.
Yeah.
And not have to necessarily worry about, I'm still setting aside some time, but I know how much time I'm setting up. I'm not dependent on anyone else. Nobody's dependent on me. It's also one of the reasons why I quit WoW, right? Because with raiding, I did a lot of raiding.
Yeah.
But you're dependent on everyone, and people are dependent on you.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is one of those things that's nice about speedrunning. It's like, like you're getting into boxing, and like, yeah, I guess you need a partner to spar with, but you're the guy boxing. There's not an entire team that's hoping that you'll be there for practice. I feel like in that sense it's pretty similar. Like Dota 2 being your football, and your I don't know, StarCraft 2 being your chess, I guess.
Basically,
right?
what you're saying is you just want all the glory to yourself.
Oh,
you don't want your
yeah,
team to help.
definitely.
Nah, yeah, give me all the shiny stuff. Yeah.
Just put my name on the trophy. That's it. There's what do you mean there's more space? No, just write it bigger.
Is that Boney with a C or with an M? Sorry, which one is it? There we go.
Exactly.
See, from my perspective, like, 'cause I don't really do speedrunning. It's not, and I like I said, I've watched it and all that kind of stuff. I think for me, as an outsider to the whole scene as such, I think it's more about getting the game done legit.
Right.
If you happen to find a quirk in the game, then okay, we've all used those, whether speedrunning or not. But to purposely put them in, I don't think that justifies a legit speedrun for me. Is my kind of thing.
Right.
Like, that's why I enjoyed the Minecraft ones, because they have so many different subcategories. You got the random seeds, you have the pre-generated things, and you do this, you have your own routes and all that kind of stuff. You do your thing. That's it. That's great. That's glorious. But I generally think if I was to ever be speedrunning, it would be to try and improve. Well, obviously it's to try and improve your time, but you still got to enjoy the game. But ultimately, it's playing the game to its fullest and getting to the end. It's not so much completionist; it's getting there to the end. Because
Yeah.
like for example, Fable or something like that, I'm not going to go do the side quest because they do my tits in, and I don't really want to play with the bumblebees that are going to do my head in over in the corner there. You know, I want to get to the end as quick as I possibly can, but still enjoy it.
Yeah.
But when does it, for my question for you then would be, when does it become more important for you to beat your time than to enjoy the game as quickly as possible?
I think that's the $1 million question, though, isn't it?
Yeah, because definitely at some point, I mean, I have found myself in like a situation where I'm like, oh, I really need to like, like you tend to set these goals for yourself, I suppose, when speedrunning. You know like the optimal time at some point, right? People have played it and you've played it and you realize you make some mistakes here and there, usually due to programs like LiveSplit or whatnot, like any other relative ones. You know what your possible best time is, and so because of that, it's very easy to get yourself get led by the fact that, oh, I could save up to 15 seconds on this section if I just get this one section right and then do everything else right. I have a new record. It's very easy to get into that, and from time to time, I do let that drive me. It sometimes I just feel like because I'm either it's because it allows me to get to first place or whatnot, or I beat my rival or something along those lines. Rivalries definitely fuel the will to play. But I do feel like it's like there needs to still be some sort of enjoyment in terms of like the game itself providing it. I don't think it's necessarily that first time playing that type of enjoyment. That isn't really the enjoyment that I get out of it. It's more like like perfecting these levels. I feel like Super Cable Boy is a great example due to the fact that these levels are not that long. In general, I'd say like not until like the final world you can beat a level between like 5 and 15 seconds. Right. And you're done. And so because of that, because these levels are pretty short, it is amazingly well crafted in a way to just ask you to optimize this, right? Maybe I use this wall to jump over here and then slide under here, or perhaps I do it completely different. I go under and over, and you tweak away and you chip away at just figuring out some form of faster movement. And it becomes more of that. It becomes more like initially puzzle solving, and figuring out, okay, what is best. And then it comes to execution and really like, like getting to the mastery of the game itself. It's still, like the game itself, playing it casually is still fun, though, I might gravitate to knowing what I know from the speedrunning side of things. But it's it just becomes different. It's just a different perspective. And at some point I'm like, okay, the challenge is gone, or like this is just getting too repetitive, which might happen because I don't know, there's some like one trick or one level that just does not click, does not mesh, or is very inconsistent, is one of the words that is used a lot. It just, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm done with it. I have tried like many other games and trying to get into speedrunning of it, and I get turned off because of it. But when I do stick with a game, I do find like that challenge period for me at least is like 6 months, and then after those 6 months, I'm like, all right, time for a new one.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Okay, so here's one then. So, Mellar, I've seen you play your Zelda games, and I know you love your Zelda games, and I know you've been trying to do semi kind of informal speed running to a degree. You were doing something a few weeks back, and you were in like this dungeon. There was like quicksand around and stuff like that. But you mentioned like you were going through a certain point, and it's like it was going to be your favorite dungeon that you do. So does that still come into reflection in your mind when you're speed running that this is your favorite dungeon? So obviously you want to get through as quick as possible. But for me personally, for example, like I really love Dead Mines in World of Warcraft. It's my favorite thing. I wouldn't want to speed run that. I like savoring those moments, which then kind of defuncts the whole speedrunning aspect. So is it more of a shame that you can't enjoy and savor those favorite parts of your game because you're speedrunning? Or do you still enjoy the fact that you got through it quickly and therefore you still enjoyed that section of the game as such?
That's actually quite interesting. That's actually kind of something I was going to mention is I think a while ago, because I used to really dislike speedrunning because the whole point is like I want to see the game being played, and when you're speedrunning, but when you're speedrunning without glitches, you're kind of getting that, which is fine. But when you're speedrunning with the glitches, the whole point of glitches is you're skipping the game. And my initial, I mean, I've seen a lot of games speedrun now, but my initial like foray into like finding out about speedrunning was Ocarina of Time, my favorite game of all time. So I'm sitting there like, why would I want to watch this? They're literally skipping all my favorite parts of the freaking game. But now that I've played it so many more times, especially now that I've started randomizing it, and I've played almost as many randomizers as I've played the base game over my life. You do get to the point where you're like, I've seen it so many times now, I don't feel like I need to see it again. And therefore, skipping it doesn't feel quite so egregious anymore. You see what I mean?
Does that mean then you're not so much enjoying the game, you're just enjoying getting to the end then? It's that satisfaction and that, the adrenaline rush of finishing the game.
That's where,
more so than the actual game itself. That's
where, for me at least, speedrunning and randomizing are completely separate, because I don't find speedrunning to do it at all fun. But because randomizing is a completely different experience, like every time you roll a seed, you're basically creating a new game for yourself within the confines of, the base game. So the fun is in figuring it out and beating the seed. Basically, that's where the fun lies, not necessarily in the base game, although obviously you're still enjoying the mechanics of the original game and the locales of the original game and all that kind of thing. But that's kind of it, where the actual original game, in many ways, kind of already gone at the moment you even start randomizing, in a way. I don't know if that's fair. I mean, what do you think about that, BoneyC?
Yeah, I mean, to definitely touch on the enjoyment side of things. Yeah, like the appreciation of the game itself, going through it and whatnot. I feel like that is, at least with classics, it's just something that kind of sticks. It's usually like music, right, or graphic, like some I don't know, some cool sword or whatnot, right? Those are the things that stick, but not necessarily the game as a whole. I experienced that. I've had that experience. I know what it was like. And it's one of the, like, I know there are some people who like to just learn a game from the get-go because they know, like, I don't know, Super Mario 64, super popular speedrunning game. I'm just going to learn how to speedrun it. Never played it normally. And they just know how to do the speedrun because they just want to do the speedrun. But for me, it's been like, yeah, I want to get that experience first. I want to make sure that I know what it's like to just play through the game and just enjoy it. And where I do try to avoid as many glitches as I can in my speedruns that I do, as long as it permits within the category and all that. I've had that experience. I've enjoyed it. Now I'm gonna try and experience something else within it. I think it's, for me at least, it's more that I accept that it's past. I've accepted it's happened. And I can look back at it and, like, oh, I remember really, like discovering this one twist in the story, or, like figuring out how to really solve this dungeon. And then with speedrunning, it's like, let's do something else with it. Let's create a different experience. I think it's more that if I feel like that is the best way I could explain it. Yeah.
So would that be, for example, like, okay, so you're doing a speed run, you've played the game before and sped run it, and is sped running a term? I'm going to use it. Sped run it. And you can see that with your whole like log of times and chapters and weird stuff that you have down the screen. I have no idea how you set that up. It's amazing when you do that kind of thing. But you're like, you can see that you're not going to do it this time. You're not going to beat it. Do you call it quits, or do you still go for the end because you enjoy the game?
Ooh, this is definitely one of those speed running experiences. Like, some speedrunners like to go into like this reset hell where any minor mistake, instant reset. Don't even think about it. Just throw it away. Like, accept it. Whereas some others are like treating it as a baby and just like, no, I got to care for it. I got to make sure for it. I know I messed up, but I'm just going to keep going. And like, they just happen. Which is like, I suppose, the two extremes. And obviously everybody is somewhere in between. And me personally, I do find that I tend to like finish any of my runs. Like, personally, whenever I'm speedrunning a game, I can, I spend like about 2 to 3 hours speedrunning the game, I would say. And it depends on how long that speedrun is, how often I'm able to run it. And after that, I'm kind of burned out. I'm kind of like, okay, time for something else. I do focus on making sure I do all the things right. And because of that, I tend to favor finishing a run, even when I know I'm not going to make it, simply due to wanting to just getting runs done, which isn't always as good if you're really focusing on times. If you're really focusing on times, yeah, you got to reset. You got to reset whenever you make a mistake that you know is not going to make it. You got to reset when you know you're not going to make that time, because you're putting in time into something that's not going to fulfill that goal of yours.
Plus, you could also look back at your footage or something like that and see where you went wrong to it. It's a learning experience as well, that kind of stuff. So
no,
it could be an educational thing for you as well, then, to finish it, not just because you love the game or anything.
Yeah, it takes a bit of the pressure off as well. And it, like if I do mess up later on, I'm like, it was already dead anyway. So might as well maybe try something out. Maybe try this one little tactic that you had in your head and just, I'm already in this place anyways.
Yeah.
Might as well mess around with it. And it's definitely taking that opportunity in that situation. But I know plenty of people who are just like, no, they're just like, they might even get frustrated, right? And just reset. And sometimes a bit too early, where it's like, oh, you still could have recovered, but they're like, no, it's not perfect, so I want to keep going. It's definitely like speedrunning in and of itself is something that is great for anybody who is a perfectionist, because you gotta be perfect. And I mean, I hope you don't get too mad then, but yeah, resetting happens a lot. I just try to avoid it as much as I can, because I know I'm gonna get bored at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you got any more, Hippo? Any more thoughts?
No. I generally want to know how you set up those like timer things down the side of the screen. And I assume you have like a button on your keyboard you press, and then it does the next chapter. But are they set to your times and preferences, or would they be game specific chapter points that, like, with Spyro or something like that you'd be like, this is the next stage that I know I need to get through and stuff like that? Or because you could look at certain games and go like, there's hundreds of like segments that you could separate if you really wanted to narrow down your time cutoffs, but like, or is it more like you go onto that speedrunning website thing and you go, okay, so this is the category, this is the category, this is the category, and then you lead it up there, and then you're going for their targets as such to where the time zone criteria hits? Because ultimately it's getting to the end of the game, isn't it? Is the key. So where do you put your chapter points?
I mean, technically, yeah, you could be just fine if you just literally add a time up and just done whenever you're done with the game. I mean, it's like a multitude of reasons, I suppose. Like, I mean, how it works, right? It's a program, and I can just I can manually set those, and it records all the times when I push the button to like, okay, move to the next section, move to the next section, move to the next section, which is obviously great to check how I do in certain sections, because I might just have that one timer, but I don't really realize when exactly I maybe made a mistake or where I did amazingly well, and I should keep doing that. So for that reason, it's extremely nice to just set these sections. And where I set these sections is usually like 99% of the time is arbitrary. It's just wherever I feel it makes sense, whenever I might have time to push the button, or whenever an event happens in the game and we can automate that. Right, there are definitely some technical people within the speedrunning community and as a whole. And they could just create a automatic splitter that detects whether something appears on screen, and we know this means you achieved something, so we can move you on to the next section, or it's
like key cutscenes or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, because it realizes, oh yeah, this means you just beat this, because we always know you're gonna get to this point. Sometimes it's nicer when games expose their events, and we can use that to like, oh, event level beaten happened, sweet, let's send that to the splitter, and it happens. And like there's like a few games where you don't really have that freedom in where you want them. Obviously with an auto splitter, it's very dependent on this one event happening, so you really got to make sure you don't mess around too much with it, unless you know how to auto split stuff and make that, which I don't. I'm very happy there's people who know how to do it, and I just yoink it, and I'm like, sweet, thanks, I'm going to use that now. But there have been, like Spyro has been one where you had to use an auto splitter, I know that. And so because of that, you had to make sure you had the sections. They didn't really force you like, oh, you have to play this level, but you have to make sure, like, okay, if you beat a level, make sure you have it set up in the auto splitter that you beat the level, and we use that to check whether or not things are on the up and up. Also due to the way the time works, there's 3 different times you have to record for Spyro because of the way it works, and PCs being faster and slower and all that. Yeah. It's a whole ordeal. It's a whole ordeal.
It's interesting, isn't it? I was just gonna sort of provide my own opinion really on the whole thing, because like I feel like I've had kind of a bit of a tumultuous kind of experience with speedrunning, because definitely, like I mentioned earlier, when I first was introduced to the idea of it, it was Ocarina of Time, and I really just didn't like it. I didn't see the point. I was like, if you're gonna play such a wonderful, like, beautiful game, why are you just gonna skip so many parts of it? Like, what's the point in doing that? Like, why not just play the game properly? And I actually did a thing where I kind of I didn't consider it speedrunning at the time. It was just playing the game quickly, where I played the game with no glitches, because I didn't know any and I didn't want to. I just basically passed as good as I could, and killed the enemies as quickly as I could, and essentially played the game as quickly as I could, just playing it normally. And that's kind of where I keep my level, really, for the longest time. I was like, I never really saw it as speedrunning, although it technically is, isn't it, really? I mean,
it's a personal speedrun, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah.
But it's just playing the game quickly. That's all I was doing, right? And I always just hated speedruns, because I was just like, what's the point? Just play the game properly, because that's what I want to see. That's what I want to experience. Especially like, a story game like Ocarina or Final Fantasy, for example. And there are people that speedrun Final Fantasy, like you mentioned. So for the longest time, I was just like, I don't like this. Like, as soon as someone was like, I'd be looking on, the category, the Ocarina of Time category. As soon as I saw it was a speedrun, I'm out. I'm not watching that. You could immediately tell if they were somewhere that isn't the forest and they've only got 3 hearts. It's a speedrun. This is before randomizers existed for it. So I was like, it's a speedrun. I'm out. But since in the last sort of 3 or 4 years, since spending more time on Twitch, I've kind of come to appreciate speedrunning a little bit more, because it can be fun watching someone who's genuinely good at the game kind of smash it. Do you know what I mean? Now, I still don't like glitches.
Boney, perhaps.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
He's a very good example of that. There's others as well. I could easily mention. Stevie Blue as well, and also I know that Amart does Final Fantasy 9 and 10 as well. But yeah, I kind of got into the whole, like, the experience of watching someone, and I'm not that keen on watching like the practices and stuff. I think the practices it's very repetitive. You're doing the same thing over and over and over again. But actually watching someone try and beat their time, and especially when it gets close and you're like, oh, is he going to do it? Is he not going to do it? That's fun to watch. That is content, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like my negative feeling towards speedrunning has very much like been sanded away now, and I can quite happily watch a speedrun now, especially if it's for a game where I at least vaguely know what's going on. And I'd still stipulate it needs to not really have too many glitches in it, because glitches, especially glitches that miss out massive parts of the game, again, you're kind of missing the point, even though you're speedrunning. And that's actually one of the reasons why I really enjoyed watching Final Fantasy X speedruns, because a Final Fantasy X speedrun is like 10 hours long.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you can get under 10 hours, but it's not easy. And you're basically just playing the game quickly. Yeah. You're not really cutting anything out. And I like that, because you're still experiencing the game. I mean, okay, so you're skipping through all the dialogue, which is kind of the point of the actual game. But if, again, you've experienced the game enough times, because again, Final Fantasy X, my second favorite game of all time, you already know all the plot beats, so you don't necessarily need to see that. And therefore, you can just kind of enjoy the gameplay. I love the fact that there's a community around it, and the community seems to be, growing, and there are people that can really like enjoy it together. That definitely improves it. And at the end of the day, if you're enjoying doing it, then more power to you. So I think
definitely.
There was definitely an interesting thing you said earlier about that Hippo mentioned, is that where's the line between I want to get a faster time, and I actually want to freaking enjoy this, thanks. And then that for me, because that's a really important distinction for me, because I always say, if you're not enjoying it, don't freaking do it.
Right.
But at the same time, like
I agree. Yeah.
that if you enjoy the outcome, I've got the best time. Well, then there's definitely a grey area there, and I think that is possibly you've come across there, and you mentioned it earlier, Boney, and I wrote it down. The reason why maybe I don't like speedrunning, and I probably will never get into it, is competitive. I've
Right,
never
yeah.
really been a particularly competitive person. And I think the reason why a lot of people probably like it is it's something where something that isn't normally competitive becomes competitive. And like you say, it's solo. So at the end of the day, if you
Yeah.
fuck up, you've only got yourself to blame. That's one of the things that I think a lot of people don't like about team sports. I've definitely heard about people who really enjoyed football, but then stopped doing it because they'd occasionally F up and it would ruin it for the whole team and they'd feel too bad about it. And I know someone who was really good at football who literally stopped playing football because of that exact reason.
Right.
Yeah. So at least with this kind of thing, at the end of the day, if you mess up, you've only got yourself to blame. And I think that's a massive draw for competitive people at the end of the day. It's the competitive edge that draws people. And that's also the reason why I'm not and never have been massively interested in it. But watching people do it, especially if they're doing it well, is really, really good fun, or can be. I still think you need interaction. Obviously, there are going to be certain parts where you can't interact because you really need to focus in certain pinch points that are really
serious
good.
modes.
Yeah. But just watching the speedrun on its own, it's going to interest some people, but it's not going to interest me, which is why I really enjoy people that do the speedruns and still manage to keep up that, that constant talking, which is why I love people like BoneyC and Stevie Blue, and in chat, Oni, Noah. I just thought I'd give you a quick shout out there, and thank you so much for the raid, Cornish Knight. I really appreciate it, mate. Does anybody have anything more that you guys want to say? Any counterpoints to what we've just said? Anyone in chat?
I suppose just for me to like finish on, I suppose like one of the things you initially started on and obviously could explain was just playing a game fast, right? Just playing it. It's one of those things where one of the things that might keep people back from speedrun is like like when is a speedrun? What constitutes a speedrun? But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just playing a game fast, and it could be in any way that you want to do it. Whether it's like widely supported by the community or not doesn't matter, right? It just does not matter. I know there was one player in, I believe, Guacamelee 2 who figured out like, oh yeah, you could like save more time if you cleverly quit out of the game fully, right, and then boot it up, and then you can be a bit further and faster and like mess around with the in-game time, and that's what he really enjoyed. And I suppose you're right, in some ways that is like setting a great time. He was very focused on setting that time. But yeah, I mean, if you just figure out how to beat the game fast, you're speedrunning, right? You're speedrunning, whether it's with glitches or without glitches. Obviously, you could discuss, right, if you feel like that is legit. But I don't know. At the end of the day, if you're interested in the game, you really enjoy a game, and you want to see it from a different perspective or enjoy it in a different way, try playing it fast. Just like you can do it with any. You can set your own goals. There's someone who I know is like doing 120 stars in Terraria.
Yeah.
Which you normally would do in Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
But hey, you can collect 120 stars, so that's what he does. And, like, there's no one else who does it, but he wants to do it. He wants to try that out. He wants to figure out the best way to get these stars.
Yeah.
And so that's what he does. And I don't know. I in that sense, I don't know. Like if at any point you were like, oh, I really want to try beat this game fast, just go for it, right? You are, like anybody can be a speedrunner. I feel like that is the biggest pro that it has. Doesn't matter which game, right? You can enjoy any game. You can speedrun it. There's like Sims Bingo. That's speedrunning. Just trying to complete a bingo card for The Sims.
That's ridiculous. I love that. That's fantastic. As actually, I'll just draw attention to something that Ferox said in chat earlier. He said he sometimes speedruns Breath of the Wild, but he's not good at it. I don't think you need to be good at it, because I think at the end of the day, what's most important is that you enjoy it. If you enjoy doing it, then who cares if you get a good time at the end of the day?
Yeah.
I guess I'm technically a speedrunner then, because I tend to try and push, for example, World of Warcraft. I try to push my character to the end level as quick as possible, which is what I've just done with TBC.
Yeah. And you beat your guild. You were the first in your guild. You
I
said
beat my
it
guild.
earlier.
Screw you, part-timers. Ah,
Boom. Got
yeah,
him.
bitches. But I do. Like, for example, when Shadowlands came out in retail, I enjoyed it with my first character, and then I went as quick as I possibly could on my second character, and then my third and fourth, and then tried to tweak it. So technically that's speedrunning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck, I'm a speedrunner.
Definitely. Yeah.
I need one of
There
those
you go.
countdown clocks. That's what I need.
And time.
Amazing.
It's I don't know. I really like speedrunning. Whether it's like obviously the competitive, it could be with your guild, as you say, right? It could just be with friends. It could be the leaderboards. It could be races. But right, the one thing that drew me in was the whole like just seeing people showcase these games as well, right? Where it's not just about really going fast all the time, but sharing your game, the thing that you enjoy, with everyone else, and like having them experience it in the way that you do. Obviously, with speedrunning, that can be very specific to its speedrun itself.
Yeah.
But I mean, like there are still, I wouldn't say not as many speedruns, but definitely plenty of speedruns where people just play through the game and they just enjoy it and they just master it to a point where they're crushing your old childhood game because you really enjoyed Mega Man 2 and they just go through it while having a blast, still playing the game that's, they've played thousands of times at this point. It's just, I don't know, there's just so many different facets to it that I don't know. I don't think I'm ever gonna not enjoy speedruns.
That's fantastic, guys. Let's move on then to segment number 3. So this is our sub game, follow, sub, or dip. So for anyone who's only listening, now is a great time to draw your eyes to the screen because we're going to start watching some clippy clips. So the idea of the game basically is we're going to watch 9 clips from 3 different streamers. They're randomly picked. We shouldn't know who they are. And we're going to decide which one we would follow, which one we would sub to, and which one we would dip. After each streamer, we're going to sort of give our thoughts about what we think about the clips. The clips are the top clip from the last 30 days, I think. Top clip of all time, and then something near the top clip of all time. And then if for some reason their top clip is like against TOS or it's just really boring, I'll skip to something else that's nearby. So you kind of get the idea of what we're looking at. I give the guest the option of what kind of viewer bracket we're watching, and Boney chose 1 to 20. So this is the lowest bracket. I think that's everything we need to talk about. So shall we load up clip number 1? Are we ready?
Yeah,
I am ready.
Okay. So let's watch clip number 1 in 3, 2, 1. Play that clip.
Oh, you couldn't quite get around that corner.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh man, that was good. That was good.
Yep.
They ran in on something that's still right there.
Okay.
I love this game. It's so cool.
Realm Royale, right?
Realm Royale.
Yeah, it's such a cheesy,
it.
fun thing to play. It's great.
Yeah. I like the fact that you turn into a chicken. It's so ridiculous that it's kind of good.
But you can fly with the Meiji one or all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I
It's
don't
really
remember that
cool.
much about it, to be fair. I only watched like
it's
one
so
stream of
cool.
it. Mate, so we move on to the second clip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Play that clip.
Pew pew pew.
Pew pew.
Okay.
Pew pew.
A pew pew pew.
I'm going.
Oh, you went, dude. But I didn't. Oh, that slap.
Imagine that.
Jesus.
That actually scared me a little bit. Did you see me jump?
I jumped before someone's at my window.
Yeah, that was very good sound. Like,
That was brilliant.
talking.
Oh, wow. I need to watch that one again in a minute. That was brilliant.
Oh my lord. And then clip number 3. You ready?
Yes.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, and play that clip.
Do 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 do, 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 do. Boo, do, do, boo, do, boo.
Good hum.
Can't stop this triple kill. Triple. What the fuck, man?
Okay, fantastic. So, without saying whether you'd follow, sub, or dip, what did you think of that streamer, Boney?
Pew, pew.
Wait, the game is set to smite. Okay, that's weird. That definitely was not smite, that card. I just, like, I looked at him, give me a sec. But, so, like, looking at the first clip, very focused, right? Just hanging out with people and playing together, and that's something that came back within the second and third clip. It seems like they really enjoy just, you know, playing games with people, right?
Yeah.
Which I find, like, personally to be somewhat jarring from time to time, doing it personally, because I'm interacting with someone
Yeah.
who other people can't see. They have no clue.
Yeah.
I found, like, the middle ground of, like, playing with someone else, but playing with a group is very difficult because everybody is talking and chatting away, and you can't really talk to chat, which is what kind of came back here as well. You know, they were very involved with just playing the game, and where I found the first clip to not be, you know, like, as fun. The second and third one, I feel like, oh yeah, there's fun stuff happening. There's enjoyable stuff. But not really busy with what's going on, like, in terms of chat. It didn't seem like they were, you know, like, very interested in what they were saying. I did like this. I don't know what the knock thing was. I'm very curious if they just have sounds or whatnot. That's something that they add. I really enjoy, like, having some type of interaction in that sense. But
yeah, that was very cool.
It went, like, from, like, I felt like the first clip I was like, I'm not really sure, to, like, they're like, okay, I see what you're doing. I see what you're enjoying, and I have now an image of, you know, who they are. They just enjoy. They like multiplayer games and having a good time with friends.
Yeah. What about you, Hippo?
Well, I enjoy the minimalist aspect of the stream in terms of, like, overlay wise.
Yeah.
That's cool. Although in clip 2 does have his name on it, which, as I've discussed in past shows, that I still don't know why you need to put your name on something if it's going to be ported over to your YouTube channel. It's still going to be your YouTube channel. The only way it's ever going to be working is on situations where somebody's going to rip your stuff to put it in, like, a top 10 greatest fails or something like that, and then they can see who you are. But generally, I kind of confuses me. I need to double check my overlay to see if I've got that on my overlay, because I can't remember if I've put my name on it, to be fair. But it just, like, and I'm not sure about what qualifies for the dab hits and bong rip in first one.
Yeah,
Like,
I was a bit
what do you have
confused
to
about that
do
one
to
as
get
well.
a dab hit and a bong rip? Because, like,
Might have been in their chat.
I mean, I don't know, like, if that's like a terminology slang thing to have a bong rip, or do you take the bong every time you die because you've ripped? I'm old.
A bong rip is definitely, you know, taking a hit from a bong. I don't know what a dab hit is, though. I mean, anyone in chat want to maybe enlighten us if anyone knows?
Like, just
Because he's only done one
or...
dab in.
I don't know.
No. I mean, I don't thing. I get that shit. I'm down with the youth. I get that. But, like, how does that? Is that? Do you think that's a game specific thing, or, like?
I don't know. I actually
dab hit every kill.
I
Because
hadn't.
if you only killed once and died 29 times, that's really bad.
I hadn't noticed it. If I'm honest.
Kind of harsh, yeah.
I don't know what is that thing in the bottom left-hand corner supposed to be in the first clip? Is that supposed?
I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. There's definitely a weed smoking motif, isn't there? In that stream, which I don't really get. Like, whether or not, you know, I agree with drug taking all this is completely irrelevant. I've never really understood streamers who make it a thing. It's like oh yeah, great. You can smoke weed. That's amazing. I can drink alcohol. Maybe I should make that a thing of my stream. It doesn't make sense to me to make that like a thing in the stream. I mean, I don't mind, like, if you're in a country that it's legal, like, do it. Who cares, right? But actually making it a focus of the stream, I've never understood why, like, how that makes good content, especially when you consider the effects that marijuana actually has on a person. All right, the effects that marijuana has on a person is basically what you see in the first clip. He's sitting there. He's having a great time. He's vibing.
Oh yeah.
He's just sitting there playing a fucking video game. He's
He's
not
oblivious to anything right now. It's great. Yeah.
exactly.
I-
Like
I didn't even catch what he said initially in the his first word. I'm like,
What
what are these? I didn't. Okay.
I also love the fact there was no reaction to turn into a chicken either. Like every time I've played this game and I've turned into a chicken, I still giggle like a schoolgirl. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. But thing is, like I've hung out with people on stream before where it is legal to smoke weed, and where I've enjoyed a stream with them when they haven't been smoking, and then they have smoked on a stream, and it's immediately very boring because they're very chilled out and they don't really want to talk anymore, because you don't really quite a lot of the time. If you're sitting there and you're high and you're playing a video game, then you want to play the video game and you don't want to talk. That's what it does to you, essentially. I mean, it affects everyone slightly differently. I will also just address something. I don't normally like talking about this kind of thing, but in terms of like Twitch forbidding things, if it's legal in your country, you are allowed to smoke marijuana. You are allowed to drink on stream. You're not allowed to get paralytically drunk. You have to still be in control, basically. And that's the same. The only thing that would slightly concern me about this would be what are the what does he have to do in order to make him have to do a bong rip, right? Because if that's something that chat can instigate, that's against terms of service. You can't.
Yeah, if it's a subbing thing or something like that.
Mhm.
Then...
Yeah. So you like, because I know that, for example, like if I get a sub, I'll do a shot of whiskey or something. That is against terms of service. You can't do that because they count it towards basically harming yourself. Because if you get if you say I'm going to do one shot for each sub, and then someone drops like 100 subs, you're going to kill yourself, ain't you? If you actually
basically
carry out what you
Is
promised.
that not the same with your super sour powder stuff that you had though?
No, it's not, because I'd make it very clear that I'm only going to do one of those.
That's all right then, because I can't afford 100 subs to make you suck your finger loads of times.
No.
So close.
Yeah, it's a sub goal.
Think of something else.
It's a sub goal, and if I reach the sub goal, I will do 1 teaspoon of that stuff, and that's it. After that, it's not for every 5 subs. It's just for 5 subs in a week.
I also like his hat, by the way, the High Haters hat. I really like that. Although I wouldn't wear that because I feel like I'm being egotistical if I wore the High Hater thing. But like, I just like the font and the red beak and stuff. It just looks kind of nice. And it really matches his chair.
I don't think we can include it in our thing because it's not really part of the clip. But you mentioned that he's not playing Smite in the 3rd clip. He's also definitely not playing Overwatch in the 2nd clip. I just thought I'd mention that.
No, yeah, good point.
Wait, is that not the hamster ball one in Overwatch?
He's just
Is it Overwatch?
right? No,
I thought it was no, that's oh, what's that
That's like
fucking game?
Are you
Reinhardt's
really
just
falling
driving.
for this, Mellar? Are you really falling for this?
Well,
It's Rocket League.
I've never played this game. It's what's the fucking game called though, Hippo? Come on now.
It's Rocket League.
Rocket League, yeah, it's Rocket League.
Yeah. But the hamster gerbil thing looks like that ball. So technically it could be Overwatch.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I've never played
Abstract.
Overwatch either.
I just like shiny balls.
Yeah, I bet you do.
we knew that.
But no, I mean, I do like his overlay. I mean, I'd get rid of this thing in the top left-hand corner on the on
Is
the
that a
first
meat grinder, the bottom left thing? 'Cause it looks like it's turning the stuff at the top into... Because if you watch it and it moves around, it looks like it's grinding out mince.
I see what you. I mean, there's the handle on it. As well,
and
right?
you got the stringy bits coming out of it. It looks like
Yeah.
it's a grinder.
I think you might be right.
I don't
have
know
no idea
why,
what it's supposed to
but-
mean.
Yes! He's making spaghetti bolognese later.
Oh, he's just disclosing what he's having for dinner.
Yes.
Yeah. What?
Good one.
So
Yeah.
when it's like Taco Tuesday, he has a taco spinning around. I like this. This is clever. This is next gen Twitch streaming.
This
You
is
think-
where it's going.
I don't think
This
it
is
does.
You ask me what I
I mean,
eat every stream, man. You know, I'm just saying. You could have my Chinese chicken curry in the bottom left of your stream if you wanted to. I don't mind. That'd be cool.
Oh my days! All right. Well, should we move on to?
That's the next one.
Sounds
Yeah,
great.
I was gonna say I like his overlay.
Yeah.
He's not talking very much. Or like, I like the 3rd clip. Because he's having so much fun. So
Yeah.
therefore makes interesting content. But he's not only not talking to chat at any point, but he's also not really he's not really talking. He's not narrating what he's doing either.
No. He's
Right.
just having fun, and it feels like a kind of streamer that's just chilling out and doesn't notice. He's just playing a game, and if you want to watch him play a game, you can.
Exactly.
Kind of like if you go around a friend's house and they never let you play on the console, but you've decided to go and hang out for overnight, but you still can't play SmackDown with him because
People
You
do
sit
that.
there and
Still do
watch.
that because that feels like something from our past, Hippo, that people don't do anymore.
Yeah, I think people still do. I think it's just more of an age criteria thing more than anything else. Like when you're kids and you're playing Minecraft nowadays. Like my cousin's kid has his friends around playing Minecraft, but because it's single player on his like Switch or whatever he plays it on. I don't know. I'm old. I don't know these things. But like they don't really take turns. It's a case of watch me play this and then talk about it, and then the friend suggests things for him to play or do in the game. It's just, I feel like that's the kind of vibe the third clip was giving off anyway.
Yeah.
Come, chill out, watch me play a game. I'm just going to play this and enjoy.
Absolutely.
And sing "Take on Me" by Aha.
Did you know? I didn't notice that that's what he was singing until he did the really high pitch bit. I was like,
yeah.
oh right.
Yeah, and he also had Queen Bohemian Rhapsody in the second one.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
A bit of a mix.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Had the orchestral bits in it.
I like that song, but I didn't even notice that that's what it was. But shall we move on?
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. Oh look, another streamer. Let's do it.
All right, awesome. So we'll move on to clip number 4. 3, 2, 1, and play that clip.
Hello, Farm. What's up?
One down. Last player standing.
This is Overwatch.
One enemy remaining.
That's how it does.
Maybe.
No, this is Rocket League.
You sure? Nah,
Was
this
it Valorant?
Is, Minecraft.
Wait, I got this.
That's been made. Oh.
Out of charges.
Oh, you built
This is
difference.
Valorant.
You're so.
This is just chatting.
This is oh yeah, no, you're right. This is just chatting.
Oh,
This
you
is the
built
best
difference. You're
category
so.
to be streaming to at any time. Like it doesn't matter. Just chatting. Just chat. It is the biggest category. So, I mean,
Yeah, it's actually in just chatting. I thought
no,
you were
it is
messing
Valorant,
about.
so. Yeah, I know it's Valorant. I've played a lot of Valorant.
Yeah. All right, well, sorry,
Sorry,
Hippo.
Mel.
We'll
Love
move on
you.
then to clip number 5.
Yes.
3,
Cool beans.
2, 1, play that clip.
Look what I have for later, guys. Actually, I showed you like some streams ago. We're going with them. This is like the famous Franzbrötchen, as we call it, or like whoa! Oh my fucking god! Sorry. I was legit holding it and I just let go. Like, what's wrong with me?
Okay. And then clip number 6. 3, 2, 1, play that.
Ditched as well.
I did
fuck
you
that.
also.
Oh, that's
I
perfect.
mean, we
You
both ditched you.
Guys!
kind of
You fall off the map
No.
already?
Melanie.
Honestly, it doesn't surprise me.
That's kind of deserved, not gonna lie.
I almost just
Alright.
jumped out the map myself, to be fair.
That's kind of deserved.
I didn't see. Oh my god! Whatever.
Wait,
Sorry to anybody's ears that are now bleeding that are watching. That was really loud compared to the other 2 clips. All right, wicked. So, Boney, what do you think of that streamer?
Look what I thought.
I mean, it's like looking right number doing 1 to 2. I guess same deal, right? Playing multiplayer games and whatnot. First one, bit focused. Did see someone in chat said hi, but was in the moment. So focus on these first person shooters. I did like the what is it? Just showing something, right? Talking to chat in clip number 2.
Yeah.
Whether the drop is deliberate, I'm not even going to get into. That's not what I was really interested in too much. It's more like just setting up a moment to interact with whoever is hanging out in chat. And third one, just funny moment like, oops, I missed the gap, go down. I like the consistency, like in terms of like where the camera is. Like I do know like some games just require you to change where the camera is, but it's nice to know like, oh, this is where this person is, so I don't need to worry too much about it.
Yeah.
And it's not really blocking anything, which is one of the tricky parts whenever you're not using a green screen, right? You know it's a rectangle or a square, you could do that as well, but you're gonna block something, and it's more than you would with a green screen. You just block less.
Yeah.
So it's nice to take that into consideration. I can see the health and I can see what's going on, and I don't have an idea. Like some inclination of like, oh, I'm missing something here now. So that's very very nice, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, Hippo?
Again, very nicely minimalist, except from the sub goal thing. I mean, I have a thing about having goals on your stream.
Yeah.
Like if it's my personal opinions, I like goals for like charity goals and stuff like that. You know, whereas a purpose, you know, people who put like pay my rent this month, you know, and stuff like that. Now, for example, Asmongold's one of my favorite ones for this because he puts like a donation goal on, but it's like he puts $1 and says buying a fire hydrant or something random, you know, or like, you know, buy me pizza $1 or something, just something stupid, or like, you know, bring the next expansion out quicker $1 stupid stuff. And I like that because it's kind of pointless, you know. But like generally just like come on, bring it on.
I definitely like the idea of setting the bar very low as well. I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
The only time I've used the sub goal was to get us emotes on my channel.
Yeah.
It's the only time I've ever done it.
Yeah.
Because we were close and I said, look, we're getting here. If you fancy getting these emotes, then we can do it by just doing this month. Done. Just, you know, and that was it. And that's the only time I've ever really used it. I don't know. I'm not a fan of, you know, just money grabbing to a degree.
Yeah.
You know, if it's going towards something, you know, specific, like again, emotes, stuff like that, then it makes sense to me, you know, but generally, no. Although on a completely different topic, I really, really love that whole galaxy lighting effect she's got going on in her bedroom.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that is stunning. Because I've always loved that whole like nebula effect, or, you know, starlights and all that kind of stuff. But what I can't figure out is, well, there's two things I can't figure out. Is that a light hitting at her? Because it's not directly on her, but it's definitely around her, but it's hitting her chair.
It's weird, isn't it? Because it's hitting her chair, but it doesn't seem to be hitting her at all.
Not at all.
Oh, wait, no. Is it hitting the chair, though? I don't think it is. You can just see it through the chair.
Yeah, but it's hitting the head of the headrest as well.
Oh, yeah,
which is complete.
I wonder. It's cool, isn't it?
And the other thing is that purple back thing. Is that an Overwatch character, or is that from Rocket League, or just chatting? I don't know what that's from. That's definitely a character from a game, though.
Which
the little in the second clip, she's got to the end of.
I mean, it looks like,
I thought it was Tracer originally, but it's got glasses on, so it's not Tracer, is it?
Like my mind went to Tekken. I thought that was like Jin Kasama or Kazuya.
Oh,
like,
good shout.
That's because of the like. It looked like the hair spiking out.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah. No, I get
like,
that.
oh, that, you know, like that's my mind went to Tekken for that one. But
now I've
could be Tracer as well, perhaps.
Yeah,
but...
it's got a Tracer S, but you can see it's wearing glasses, but I'm not sure. But I like that kind of thing because I've got on next to my bed I've got a Millennium Falcon that does that as well. So, you know, I love that kind of thing. It's kind of cheesy, but I like neon-esque colors. So the whole like room effect is really nice. I like that, and the fact that she wants to show that, because like in my early days of streaming, I used to have all my geek like paraphernalia behind me and stuff like that, and now which I don't do now. Obviously now I have a white wall because I couldn't be bothered to put anything behind me, but I like that if you've got something to show that's nice, then do it, and that's a really nice presentation piece for me. The only thing I find really confusing is the different aspect ratios depending on the game by the looks of it.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
On the camera.
Yeah.
You got a square one in the first one. Obviously, you're full screen, and it's fully full screened in the second one because she's just chatting. And in the third one, she goes widescreen.
Yeah.
And widescreen changes her hair as well.
That's just a superpower, honestly.
I do think that it looks better square on the first clip.
Yeah.
Even though
definitely looks better square. Although just chatting better widescreen, obviously.
Even though for because a streamer like where you can see the background, like quite a lot of the time it is quite difficult to get. I really like a background. It's really difficult to get a decent looking background that doesn't just look like kind of made up. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I one thing that I've always said, it's such a little thing, but I really hate it when the streamer is in their bedroom but they haven't made their bed. It's such a small thing. But
my bed is so not made.
Yeah, it shows. If it's in frame, it needs to be made because it shows willing. Do you know what I mean? It's low effort if you haven't made it. Like nobody wants to see that, and now you're making everyone else see it, kind of thing.
If you're a cam streamer, presentation is key.
Exactly.
In every aspect.
The presentation behind this camera is immaculate, but it also looks useful. Because quite a lot of the time you do see it. It's obvious that as soon as the the camera's off, like the whole room changes basically. This looks like it's actually a useful space. I think it looks really nice. Actually, I love it, especially in the second clip with the like you say, the stars. I also like the fact that it doesn't use that classic purple that every Twitch streamer seems to use. You know what I mean? It's close to purple. It's blue, but it's not purple. Importantly,
purple.
I really think it looks absolutely brilliant. And I do like the overlay in total on the first one, the Valorant one. Definitely like it less on the third one, primarily because it's got the widescreen. As much as I like the background, it still looks better when it's smaller.
More focused.
Yeah. In terms of the
I feel
actual
like
content,
the camera in the third one just throws me off from the game, whereas she's more like in all encompassing within the game in the first clip.
Exactly.
It's not too much of an eyesore. That sounds really bad, an eyesore. I don't mean like she's an eyesore, but like the camera being jutting out of the side eyesore.
It just juts out too far, doesn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. In terms of the sub goal, I don't mind like small sub goals. I actually think that sort of like weekly or daily sub goals, like small goals, are not too bad. I think that like monthly or longer sub goals doesn't. I don't know. I don't think it looks good. And especially underneath, I don't know if you guys saw Elgato key lights.
Zero. Yeah, I only just noticed that from
like especially when it starts from 0. I don't know. It just doesn't provide a very good it's not a good optic.
No,
it just looks a little bit money grabby, especially in my opinion, at least when it's an Elgato key light, which is, as far as streaming goes, an absolute luxury. Like, if you want better lighting, there's so many cheaper things that you could get that work just as well. You know what I mean? Like for it, I don't. Obviously, we're talking about someone who's like 1 to 20 viewers, at least when I was searching for it. So I don't know. It just seems a little bit like, yo, guys, buy this really nice thing for me that I don't really need. I don't know. That's
a common misconception with most cam streamers, though, that you need the high tech equipment and you need all the lighting rigs and you need all this kind of stuff. Well, technically, you really don't.
Yeah.
Ultimately, with streaming, it's either you are absolutely fucking epic at this game and people want to see how you do it, or you have a personality and people come to enjoy you as a person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything else is just a nice touch.
Yeah,
it's a bonus feature. It's not a necessity.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
there are plenty of people who can still use a basic camera off of their laptop that basically makes them like
480p. Yeah, and audio is more important anyway.
Yes.
What I would say is, like, because someone in chat did sort of point out the fact that in the first clip she wasn't actually talking, but I would counterpoint that to say it was clearly quite a clutch moment in the game. So I can definitely forgive that. But I would also say that at no point during any of the 3 clips did she actually react to chat. She was reacting to the game or to something that she was doing with that what was it, cake? It wasn't a cake.
But
it was a Danish, wasn't it?
The second clip, she's talking to chat, but she's the clip itself is signifying to her dropping something in the person in her ears, having a conversation. Very much like how we are at the moment, but we still interact with chat. But if someone clipped us at this moment, then obviously it wouldn't be signifying that we have a chat. But she obviously is talking to her stream because she wants to show the thing that she drops.
You didn't remember the name? Oh, all right. It's pretty close, actually.
I'm going to say it's a flat waffle strudel.
It's Danish, isn't it? I'm sure it's
not
Danish.
Danish. I mean,
it looks like a
Danish
to me.
Type of pastry, but
it's like I've sat on the Danish is what it looks like. All right.
Danish. I think we should move on.
Yeah, fair enough.
Clip number 7, then, guys. We'll load it up. Okay,
yes.
Are we ready?
Wow.
Ready.
3, 2, 1. Play that clip.
My alarm's gonna go off again here. I need to go for that. You know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do to him? Let's go.
No. Look on his face.
And I will turn control into a convertible. I can't with your dumb ass. Get the fuck out of here. I've been blind for a while now. Oh my god, get the fuck out of here.
Okay.
All right.
On to clip number 8. 3, 2, 1. Play that clip.
This is my hair. This is literally my hair. These are the waves. These are the waves. That's literally my hair. That's literally my hair. That's literally my waves. Yeah. The waves ain't.
Where is his microphone in that? Was it like up on the ceiling or something?
It's not in frame now. I don't know.
I just couldn't hardly hear him. It sounded like he was a million miles away. Anyway, we'll go on to the last clip.
Well, yeah. Well, let me get ready.
All right.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, and play that clip.
You know how tax brackets work and shit like that. How when you file your tax, you got to give a little bit back to the government / IRS. And with me gaining a little bit of income from Twitch, with my mother's income that she makes, it would move her. The slight income I would make would move her to a slightly higher tax bracket, causing her to pay back an extra couple more thousands compared to the little bit of income I would make, which wouldn't equate unless I was working and I was able to equate that balance out. So it's kind of like if I had a job and I was an affiliate, okay, I can do that. But me being straight up an affiliate, it wouldn't work like that, and it would hurt my mother's funds, and I wouldn't want to do her like that, because being in a tax bracket as well also has the potential to reduce how much student loans I receive. And I'm receiving a pretty hefty amount for the college I'm going to. And if I were to make a little bit more income.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right. So again, without saying whether you'd follow, sub, or dip, what did you think
Equate
of that
unless-
streamer, Boney?
I mean, that was a ride. I'll tell you what. Like, obviously, first one, the audio levels of, I don't know who it was, like from a friend. Getting into loud noises and enjoying the loud noises stuff, right? And then second clip, where's the mic? We don't know where the mic is. Whereas the third one, it seemed like pretty dialed in, actually. Pretty good. So it seemed like an adventure. Maybe I don't know if the third one is the most recent, but it seemed like he's got his mic set up at this point. So that is definitely nice. In general, I'm not sure what exactly his stream is about. Like, that's the one thing I kind of missed in all of this. If it's just goofing with friends or watching videos, because he was on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Not really sure what it's that he does. Like, if it's just reacting to, or like the third one does have Apex Legends set. But he's clearly not playing the game at that point. But just talking about life in general.
Yeah.
I really like in terms of him as a person as well. I felt like the first and second one showed us like just goofing around, whereas the third one was like just being a bit more involved and talking a bit more. But again, I can't really get a feel on what he what he does.
What he's actually doing. Yeah, that's fair. What about you, Hippo? What do you reckon?
Yeah. So, okay, again, name on the stream in the third clip, you know, but not in the first clip, which is nice. However, he does seem to have his own little bit of like Spider-Man-esque like branding going on in the first clip, because he's got his own little icon at the top and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. That's nice. I like the fact that it's obvious he is very much into his chat.
Yes.
Which is cool, which is why clearly in like 2 out of the 3 clips he's got the chat up. In the second one, it's obviously a lot clearer to see and read the chat. Although the camera quality went right downhill on that one. But in the first clip, it's very difficult to read it over the YouTube browser as such. So, I mean, that kind of, in my opinion, you just want to put a little bit of shadowing box behind it, just so it kind of pops it out a bit easier, but without overly affecting if you're going to be doing reaction stuff, which is how I feel like this channel is a reaction kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's from what he does or what he's watching. Obviously, he's doing some form of reaction, which is why he's on the YouTube at the moment. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. The overlay itself is from the third clip is a generic stock one you can kind of get from anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, dime a dozen kind of stuff going on that one. It seems pleasant enough. I like the fact that he was willing to discuss the taxation situation within Twitch.
It's very interesting, wasn't it? Yeah.
Because a lot of people seem to think that you can just get away with not paying tax with Twitch.
Yeah.
And some people do, but like on the American side of things, IRS will know everything and sniff you out, whereas in certain other countries it's a little bit easier just to like slip it under the radar as such. But it's nice the fact that he's willing and open to talk about the taxation situation and implications.
Yeah.
Because everyone thinks, okay, well, I say to everyone, a lot of new people come in and go, I'm going to be able to hit affiliate, I'm going to make millions, here we go, let's do this, I'm going to be like Ninja and just live off of it, no problem at all. Don't worry about the fact that real world problems happen and you have to pay your taxes.
Yeah.
And, you know, stuff like that. So it's nice that he's open and honest with that kind of thing. I like that. I can appreciate that. Because there aren't many people that do that kind of stuff. People just give off this illusion of grandeur with streaming, whereas realistically, it's a job to a degree when you're putting finances into it.
Yeah.
And you've got to put that stuff into your mind. And obviously, he loves his mum. So it's nice. But overall, I don't know. I feel I've got a vibe that he's more of a reactionary channel to a degree, with some side playing on there, because obviously he's got a game ready to kind of go on the third clip, but isn't doing it. He's still talking about stuff. So
yeah. And
it doesn't feel like it's one of those in between match kind of conversations. It feels like it's a more of an in-depth conversation that he's willing to like, let's step off the game. The game's not important. Let's talk about what we need to talk about. So
the game's not even loaded
that I
in.
respect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kind of cool. I can get that vibe. That's cool. And I like the wavy hair.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely.
Wavy hair was cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, man.
I like his.
I was just like, maybe I should, you know,
No. Your hair is fucking amazing.
Oh man, look,
it's like a cloud of love. I love it.
You won't imagine how many drunk people want to touch my hair, and then they're amazed it's soft. They're like, oh, it's soft.
It looks like it should be wiry, doesn't it? But it's not.
No.
Afros are amazing. I love them. So this guy, I like his energy. I think he's got really cool energy about him. That I definitely appreciate. I definitely think that his cam is way too small. And also his lighting kind of sucks, but I think that's because he doesn't have any. He's literally being lit by the screen, which is why it's quite bright in some and quite dark, especially in that first clip. I think it's dark because he's literally on dark mode, isn't it? So he's not getting that much light from the screen. And it's just really hard to see him, which especially when you're doing reaction kind of stuff. Like the most important part of the content is the reaction. You need to be able to see that. So I definitely think
technically, unless we rephrase it to more of a commentary reaction style.
Yeah, well, that's true.
It's more discussion points, which is where a smaller camera would be better, because you're trying to overall watch the content and then talk about it, and then maybe he brings himself up. I hate the C word, I'm sorry.
What I would say though is that if that's what he's doing like a reactionary thing, why do you need the other people on voice chat like at all? Like, sure, if you're playing a game like a team game, then fair enough, but what are they there for? And at the end of the day,
again, this is
all they've ended up doing is trolling him.
Yes, which is kind of what mates do to a degree. You get mates that like to take the piss out of each other. Me and Bueno do it all the time to each other.
Yeah.
But like, again, this will bring back my Asmongold experience. He brings in McConnell, who is his like mate that he brings in, and when they do their their video reaction and commentary on YouTube videos about World of Warcraft, it's a duo situation for some of it, where like it's like brings in helpful counterpoint situations so they can bounce ideas off of each other. Maybe that's kind of the vibe he's going with that one, or maybe he's just got a mate in the chat while watching a video.
Yeah, it doesn't add anything. In fact, it takes away from it, especially when he's like fucking everyone off. Because if I was in chat and like especially if I wasn't watching but I was listening and that happened, I'd just leave, to be honest. And if I was in his situation, I wouldn't be sitting there laughing at it. I'd be like, mate, shut the fuck up or I'm going to boot you from the server. Because like audio is so important, like we said earlier. Like audio is so important. If you're going to mess with it, that like I don't think that's at all funny, really. Because you're basically, you're hijacking a show and you're ruining it. You know? People aren't going to like to listen to that. It was maybe funny the first time, but he kept doing it. I'd be really like, no, do that again. And you're gone, mate. So I don't know. I really didn't appreciate that.
I think that's just the mate taking it too far, though. That's that.
But he shouldn't have done it in the first place. Is my point. I say maybe it was funny the first time. Maybe it wasn't that funny.
But then that's the difference between your show and my show, for example. Like I don't mind too much because my audio is ultimately going to be me talking, and if someone's going to be in it, it's only a briefest of seconds of someone being a dick, but jokingly a dick. Whereas you care about every aspect of your audio. Look at me, I'm on a blue microphone.
I think your microphone sounds great. If that had happened to me,
no,
I'd be
my
really annoyed
microphone
about
sounds
it.
great, and I put some effort into it, but I haven't put a lot of money into getting the board to make sure I can do how you check, your audio settings. For me, what I do is I make sure that they're like, for example, Boney's at 80% volume and you're at 120% volume on my Discord. That's pretty much as I will go. And that's varying degrees of level of professionalism in terms of your audio quality.
Exactly.
I'm just all about the banter and stuff. You can still have a great sense of humor and talk about stuff and be stupid and all that kind of stuff and not have the best of microphones. That's why people have gamer headsets with the dodgy microphone on it. It makes them sound like they're doing a static effect. You're still going to have that person in if you're playing games with them because they're your friend and you want to talk to them. So sometimes the audio, as much as it's very important, it depends on what type of stream you're trying to produce.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, from what I can tell from this, is the other guy doesn't even need to be there.
No.
In order to provide the content.
But then we're only watching a 30-second clip. We don't know what he did. He might have been the most like Elon Musk-esque kind of conversationalist, but we just missed it because he went.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's
somebody
what people decided to
clipped it because they found it amusing.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, I like his overlay overall. It seems quite minimalist. I also like the fact that he seems to have he's used like a what's it called, a template. But then he's actually chosen what parts of it that he wants to keep.
Yeah, he's developed it over time. Hasn't he?
Yeah. I
think it's good.
I definitely don't like. I'm not a fan of floating chat just floating there without some sort of background because it makes it really hard to read and it doesn't look nice in my opinion. It kind of feels a bit low effort, but it is still nice to have it there. At least he's thought about that and put that there, especially because again, this kind of reaction kind of stuff. If that's what he's doing. I think that chat is actually really important, and to have it on screen is a really good idea. So there's definitely some thought that's been put into it. It maybe could do with a bit of polish, but it's good. I like his energy a lot actually. All right, so shall we have the hammer full? We'll choose then. So Boney, out of those three streamers that we've just watched, which one would you sub to? Which one would you follow? And which one would you dip?
I mean, it's honestly like I feel like each of these streamers, like each of their first clips just didn't really represent it, and it evolved, right?
Right.
So I've been like just looking from my point of view, okay, if like you say, if I want to tune in and I feel like they just had a bad day, and the other two are more in their style. I would probably go for a follow on tree, right?
Yeah.
Just thinking away, okay, you got the loud noise and whatnot, because I do feel there's a lot more interaction going on.
Yeah.
I'm still I probably sub 2 then. And dip 1 and with 2 because there's feel more interaction going on and just I don't know, just seems relatively nice. But 1 it just seems I can be there or not, and it doesn't really matter. And I think that's what makes me. It's still a very tricky when I feel between these three because I feel they all have their pros and cons.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. Oh, what about you then, Hippo?
I think this is the hardest one we've ever done on Chattisfying.
I think it is actually.
It really is the hardest one we've ever done on Chattisfying.
Yeah.
I think it's so. There are so many pros and cons to each of them. There really is. I know I would dip number one.
Yeah.
There's no interaction.
Yeah.
And I am a huge stickler on that. I love interaction. It's how I find new streamers. It's how I enjoy new streams. How I make friends, because I'm never really making friends in real life, so I might as well do them on the internet. So, you know, it's all about chatting. It's all about chatting. It's a social platform. It's socializing. That's why there's a chat bar there. You know, that's my feel on it. Unless, you know, you want to see someone excel at a game, you're watching an esports situation or speedrunning, and then you're okay. You know what I mean? Yeah, I said in speedrunning because I'm an asshole. I love you really, Boney. But I think I'd more likely follow number 3, which leaves me my sub, which I don't really want to give to number 2.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get her that Elgato light.
That's a fair point.
I do. I'm just the same with like either 2 or 3. That's me personally. Like I could have swapped it.
Yeah, it's definitely swappable. I think that the reason I would probably put the sub on number 2 is because not only do they just chat and interact with the chat, but they are actually playing games. Whereas number 3 doesn't seem to be playing games, does reaction commentary, which you really have to have a certain skill level to do the whole reaction commentary thing.
Yeah.
You know, you look at like on YouTube and everyone who does that, there are going to be 1 or 2 that you will specifically go towards because they have the personality traits that you like and the gift of the gab as such, you know, to be able to pull it off. And I don't know if he can, but, you know, I know his friend can goes on the microphone, so you know, and I can understand that very well. That means I'm hungry, get me some tacos. But at the same time, I kind of want to put my sub on number 3 because I like the fact that in his serious moments he's more than willing to discuss serious topics about certain situations that don't normally come up. And I like the fact that he has a serious side that is kind and considerate and wants to share things and educate. So I'm kind of tied on the sub.
So who are you going to sub to then? Do you want me to go and you can decide?
I'm going to sub to number 2 because she's got pretty sparkly lights.
Okay, fair enough.
Nice.
Damn.
So that's third guy is the follow then, yeah?
Yeah, that's it. I think presentation purposes wise, she wins. If I'm putting my sub onto someone that, you know, gives more, it would be the fact that she does more stuff than the other 2 do. She's got a better presentation purpose and she has wigs.
Yeah. Is that a wig? I'm sure she just dyed her hair, isn't it?
I think that's
wig. It also came down like 1.5 foot longer, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
I know she's got tied back on the other ones, but
unless that one's before the other 2.
Ooh, good call, but it definitely looks wig-esque.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Well, for me, this is really hard. Like you mentioned, this is probably the hardest one that we've had. But at the end of the day, I was thinking about it. All right, the third one gets my sub because at the end of the day, as much as like the actual clip that was provided, that first clip kind of annoyed me. I like the idea. He seems like a nice guy as well, which I think is the most important thing. He's, you know, and it also seems like he's putting effort in. He's making improvements to his stream. You can kind of tell from the 3 clips provided that he's trying to make improvements. I think that's great. The second person gets the follow. I do like the presentation of the webcam especially. And there's definitely, you know, there's some interaction there in the second clip. The clip doesn't exemplify it very well, I don't think, but she's clearly talking to her chat. She's not just talking about her food, even though in that clip, that's all she's mentioning. So yeah, the dip definitely goes on the first guy, unfortunately. I'm sure he's lovely, but I didn't really get anything from that, from those clips at all, really, apart from the game. And those games, I mean, Realm Royale is fun, but I don't know. I'm not going to stay there just for the game, and I'm not really getting anything else from those clips. So yeah, I'd dip from guy number 1. Awesome. Well,
fair enough.
There we go. That was a huge amount of fun. I can't believe how long we went. We fully overrun there.
Took it into overtime.
Absolutely. Well, quite significantly as well. Thank you so much, BoneyC. That was absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed that. I hope you did too.
I did, definitely. Thanks for having me as well. It's been a blast.
It really has. Well, thank you so much for coming. I think that's really everything that needs to be said. Definitely, please follow BoneyC. The details are on the screen now. They will come. There we go. There they are. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, they will be available in the description below. You can also, of course, follow our amazing co-host, Harry Hippo. His deets will be underneath on me, of course. I do stream every Friday.
Wait, do you have your name in the overlay?
You got to have a
What?
ginger in your list.
Harry.
You know, you got to have a ginger. You know what I mean?
True. This is true.
You got to collect them all. He's a Pokemon. Sort it out.
So thank you all very, very much for hanging out. We will talk a little bit in just a few moments. But until then, please like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow me on Twitch for more of this. We do one of these every month with a different guest. Also, join the Discord if you'd like updates on when Chattisfying's next going live, who the next guest is going to be, what we're going to be talking about, and also when the last recorded one goes up on YouTube. All the good stuff is right there. There, he says,
there.
fumbling.
There.
Right, I'm pointing at it. It's right there. There you go.
It's there.
Yeah, it's.
So
to the right, to the right. Sorry, that's the wrong lyric. Sorry.
So thank you very much
close
indeed, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Chattisfying.